So, the progressive won in Michigan last night. It is still a little too close to call, but doesn't matter because the establishment Democrat called and conceded. So, hey, open and shut case, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and argue that's actually good news for Republicans because the polling that we've seen from many of the liberal institutional media outlets is that about 2-1, when facing a socialist or progressive candidate, moderates will choose to go Republican. But here's where it gets real interesting. It is now being reported simply because, so Tucker Carlson has this meeting with, Massey, MTG, and a few others, Joe Kent. And this is taken to mean that Tucker is preparing a third party or a presidential run in 2028. We don't know for sure, but it is being reported by numerous outlets that it appears Tucker is preparing to run for office, which is funny because he's hinted at it several times. Many people have predicted that he might, and now the reporting has finally landed. Tucker 2028. I mean, people were talking about him being the VP back before J.D. Vance got chosen, so we shall see. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we've got a bunch of really interesting stories. One that was kind of overlooked in the past week. In Japan, people are protesting the construction of a mosque. Now, that is... I watched this video because Japanese people are so, I don't know, what's the right... studious and calm. To see this video of people just violent rioting, just angry over a mosque, I thought was particularly interesting. And then I thought to myself, why are they building a mosque in Japan? This is crazy. We'll talk about it and more. Before we get started, we got a great sponsor for you. It is Tax Network USA. Head over to tnusa.com/Tim or click the link below. You guys owe back taxes? You guys have unfiled tax returns? Maybe you retired and suddenly got hit with a tax bill you didn't expect? Are you a business owner with messy books and a balance you can't afford? However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is not going down. Penalties grow, interest compounds, and many of you are about to owe again for this upcoming tax year with no plan in place. Stop what you're doing now and call Tax Network USA. The IRS is not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishment, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. This is where Tax Network USA comes in. With over 15 years in the business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. Whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you got to call now. They're offering a free investigation call. After that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. This is about you using your legal rights to take control before the government sets terms for you. So don't wait for an IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Call 866-686-1535. That's 866-686-1535 or visit tnusa.com/Tim. Click the link below. Don't forget. Also, pick up some Cast Brew coffee if you haven't already. We got a bunch of great blends and varieties. Appalachian Nights, of course, everybody's favorite. But a bunch of different flavored options for all of your favorite personalities. You got Mary's Ghost Blend. You got the 1776 Signature Brew from Josie. You got 2 weeks till Christmas, despite I think we launched that almost 2 years ago now.
A while, yeah.
It's been a while. We have Lucka the Seamus. And don't forget Ian's Graphene Dream. Check it all out at castbrew.com. Also, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you've ever met in your life. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Jack Posobiec.
What's going on, man? Been a little while. Been some time. I think the last time I was here, you weren't even here. So I said, Tim's back. I got to come back. We got to get the whole crew together because it turns out that there's a socialist revolution going on in the United States. You can see it in Wisconsin. You can see it in Michigan last night. And it's like, wow, who could have possibly seen it? Who could possibly have predicted the rise of communism and socialism in the United States of America, or literally all of us, but only one of us wrote the book. And here it is. Ian. Here it is, Ian. Yes, it is the book Unhuman: Secrecy of Communist Revolutions and How to Crush Them. And look, guys, I wish I was wrong.
With voting, right?
But here we are. Voting is one of the tactics. There are many.
Voting.
and look, this is something where, and obviously we'll talk about it on the show, but this is 2 years ago we put this book out. And we said, if this is not heeded, then we are going to get into a bad place in our country. And unfortunately, I think we're getting closer to that place. We've got the president, we've got Trump. and think he is doing a lot. But at the same time, these guys are coming. They are absolutely coming, and they are getting feral.
Yep. The sentiment is bubbling. I feel it as well, Jack.
Yeah.
I decided to wear these synthetic Dicyanin demon goggles. Dicyanin demon goggles.
Dicyanin.
Breaking out the red wavelengths.
Dyson? Are they Dyson goggles?
I'm not sure
Like
yet.
the vacuum.
But basically, what we're going to be talking about tonight is borderline demonic. I just want to make sure that no one
That's why I've got
unintentionally
got this right here.
Yeah. We'll go easy and slow, Jack.
I mean, you talk demonic. I saw that Paris Hilton video last night.
I didn't watch it.
Jeez,
That look.
we pulled up not knowing what it was and played on the uncensored portion of the show.
Oh wow,
It was
you
really
did?
bad.
Yeah.
Well, on the uncensored portion.
Yeah, but still,
So-
I mean, that's
rough.
I mean, that's not demonic possession. It's real. It's,
It was just on X. I was like, oh, it's an X video, and I played, and I went, oh my god.
Yeah, there were like 3 of them. It was
yeah, there were
really
3 of
not
them. Yeah,
fun to watch.
Well, it started on TikTok, and then
Right.
that was. I mean, but no, you're 100%. Demonic activity is absolutely on the rise. I think all of these things are connected.
And it's
Didn't
tough
he
to-
say that he thought demons were after him a while ago? Someone mentioned that.
Wouldn't it'd be clear that he was clearly right if he said that.
I thought he had said like he recently had some kind of like transcendent, like God reaching out to him thing, which made it even weirder.
Maybe it wasn't God.
Yeah,
I think in order to destroy demons, you have to become a demon for a brief moment. And so they're like, don't fight demons too much because you'll get lost in it. So I just want to make sure that as we pass through hell, we come out the other side.
You don't want to fight demons without invoking Christ. So if you're trying to fight demons on your own, then what you're doing by engaging with the demons, you're letting the demon in.
Ian can do it.
You know what Ian reminds me of wearing those glasses? This guy.
It's literally just a picture of Ian. I don't.
That's how I feel.
What are we looking at? It's just
It's just a picture of Ian.
2 monocles.
It's the bad guy from Men in Black 3.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, Jermaine Clement played him.
That's what Charles was saying before the show too.
That you looked like the guy
He
from.
was identifying this guy, and when he takes his glasses off, of course, he has deep, soulless black pits where his eyes should be.
Doesn't he have like teeth or something where his eyes are? or
Yeah,
something
and he
like
has a little spider monster that can crawl out of his hand.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm just pretending to be like that. I'm here to help.
Are you really?
Yeah, dude.
I'm here to help.
I think because the human aura, I believe it's a real thing. What I think it is the light refracting through the gas that's going in and out of your skin. You know, your skin's porous, so when light refracts through it, you see a color depending on how oxygenated your body is, because the gas will be different oxygenation levels. The more oxygenated, it is, the bluer
indeed.
it is.
And when you open up a certain chakra point, a blue mist, a blue aura comes off because that's your sweat evaporating.
Hardcore.
And then when you open the final gate of death, it turns red because it's blood.
Oh, I guess that's one way to look at it. But the problem is, if your aura's red, other people will look like they have red auras.
Oh, no, you die once you open the gate of death.
It's when it goes black. That's when
Anyway.
it gets really dangerous.
Did you guys introduce yourselves? Or
I'm
was Ian
Phil,
talking
hi.
about auras?
What's up? Yeah, Carter here and Ian.
It's probably more interesting, to be honest. Here's the news from Wired.com. MAGA is in turmoil over Tucker Carlson's possible 2028 presidential bid. I don't think they're in turmoil. What's these ridiculous? Guys,
There's so much turmoil. There's so
It's all
much
fake.
turmoil.
Everybody's lying.
turmoiling.
Here's the post. Tucker says MAGA was betrayed. We all were. It's time for a new path forward. More tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this. We said no more foreign wars, and we meant it and supported Donald Trump because he made that promise. But he's betrayed us all. Our commitment is America first for all Americans, right, left, and center. The movement has begun. You know what? I'm ready to just say no to everybody. I'm just done. Donald Trump fired 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria in his first term. Miriam Adelson funded to like $150 million Trump's second run. These people are all lying. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of the pretend. Like, every one of those people knows exactly what was going on with Trump's campaign and what was happening in the Middle East. Don't get me wrong. Nobody thought we were going to be entrenched in this long, drawn-out Hormuz conflict. I get that. But the idea that it was not in your mind, like, oh, we're betrayed. Heaven, how could this have happened? It's like Tucker and his brother on his show. Tucker says, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And his brother says, maybe that money from Miriam Adelson meant something. And then Tucker goes, ha, 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 because they all knew what Miriam Adelson's money meant. So spare me the lies and the manipulations from everybody. Liberals doing it. They're doing it. I'm not interested in living in your fake reality.
Tucker posted a video, an hour and 40-minute video at 8.
So this happened. So he said 6 p.m. last night. So that meaning today. So he posted it last night. So it just went up at 8 minutes.
It was
ago.
well,
Oh, it
Right.
just went up?
Yeah, it went up just now. It went up at
His announcement?
It will all. I don't know what it is. It's an hour and 40-minute video.
It was
It's his
that he
episode.
posted. And
No,
he
'cause
says
it was-
our political
no, I
system
think
is collapsed into paralysis and looting. Change is coming. Here's what America should do.
I think that it was paywalled at 6
Right.
p.m. and now this is the public announcement. So
Indeed.
Which is that he might run for president.
I don't know.
Thank God his announcement of what America should be is sponsored by Angel Studios.
Angel Studios.
And a shout out to AmericanFinancing.net, who also sponsors this show.
This is we
have no beef with them. We like American.
the whole like America's crumbling, blah blah blah. Firstly, fix the economy if you want to fix it. Stop complaining. But Jack, what do you think about this Middle Eastern conflict? Do you think it's inevitable and that it has to happen, or do you think it's a bland mistake?
Which
This Iranian war.
that's inevitable. No, I mean, do you think it's
which
inevitable? Do you think? Are you saying that I think it's inevitable that the United States and Iran get into a conflict?
If like Tucker came in and was like, we're gonna fix it now, we're withdrawing all of our forces from the Iranian
that wouldn't
front.
fix anything.
I don't think it would fix anything either. I wonder what your take on it is too.
Well, I mean, 2028 is a long time away, so I have to imagine that whatever's going on now would be quite different, a year and a half from now. If Trump were to escalate, for example, we could be in a massive ground war, for example, in 2028. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying that, it could. But it seems to me like the deal is probably going to be what's going to happen here. And there may be a new traffic separation scheme where there's like one Omani route to the south, like a northern route and a southern route or something like that. But, I don't think that, I certainly don't think that hostilities are inevitable, no.
You mean like a northern and southern trade route south?
Yep.
In the waterway.
Yeah, because so there's territorial waters there. If you look at it, one is Iran, one is Oman, and of course it's been governed by the United Nations Law of the Sea Convention, and so as an international transit waterway. And so, but effectively, what's been going on? So effectively, in the past, it was just sort of open, right? But there was only dredged in the center because the large tankers weren't able to get through the large hole, especially when it's full, so it's going to be lower. And so with the super tankers, but now the Omanis have kind of cleared out a route that's completely to the south, and because they call it the hugging Oman route. And the reason that matters is because it doesn't stray into Iranian waters at all. And so they're saying, hey, if this thing doesn't go into Iranian waters, what is your claim for messing with the shipping? Well, Iran, of course, is saying like, well, we want to control all shipping and we want to control all trade through that. And so what seems to be happening, at least as far as I know, I haven't, I don't have any direct information as to the current negotiations that are taking place. But what seems to be happening is this sort of like dual route scenario, like you say, like a northern route, southern route.
Okay, well that's extremely promising. Thank you.
I hope so. Yeah, and by the way, that's also why oil futures, went down, I think, to like $75 a barrel today.
Yep.
Because on the backs of these talks.
I applaud Tucker for announcing that he might be running if that's what he did, maybe in the future.
Well, I'd like to know what we're reacting to, before we say anything.
I fully support Joe Kent.
Well, I don't think that his podcast episode today is an announcement that he's running for office.
Right. I'm kind of tongue in cheek.
If he announced he was running, I feel like that would have come out of the pay side, right?
No, it's just this has been the narrative for some time, and with the photo from Marjorie Taylor Greene, the media is running with the Tucker Carlson's preparing a bid.
No. I know that it's been sort of out there, but
this is probably laying the foundation for some kind of run or to be an advisor on someone's campaign. But he's just laying out, this is what I think should happen, and that probably aligns with Massey and with Kent and with Marjorie.
Because I actually thought it would be more likely that Massey would announce a run. I thought that would be more.
Yeah, Massey's not gonna. He doesn't have presidential X factor.
Who do you think?
I'm not saying that he should or shouldn't. I'm just saying that he's been a politician. He's run for office. Tucker's never run for anything before. So it just doesn't seem.
Who do you
I
guys
haven't spoken to him.
Who do you guys think actually would have the best
like
chance?
The politician would be the one to do it.
Because I don't think Massey could win. I think out of all of them, Tucker probably has the best chance because of name recognition.
Are you saying excluding J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio? I think.
No, I'm talking about out of just the people that we're talking about. Like, who could win? Like, who could actually convince the American people?
Probably Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I would say that.
Look, I mean, he's obviously a better communicator, but the thing is that elections never happen in a vacuum, right? So if they're up against JD, there's no question. Like JD wins. That's just obvious.
You think they win against Marco Rubio if they make it the America First anti-war and Marco Rubio's neocon?
I think ultimately the real question is, does this create a Ross Perot situation? So Ross Perot runs in 1992. He gets about 18% of the vote, and then that effectively blocks George H.W. Bush from re-election. And then Clinton gets in with having only won about 42%.
Or AOC gets in this time.
Which, yeah. I'm just talking about with 92.
That Ross Perot thing was crazy.
Which,
like
by the
George
way,
Bush
the Democrats
golden
never
child.
bring that up whenever they attack the Electoral College. The fact that the way that Bill Clinton won was not the popular vote. He was way below 50%.
Yeah, but
it was literally only almost 40%.
To your point, that is like the nightmare situation, right? AOC's running, and whether people like her or not, whether people, obviously I would never vote for her or whatever, but people are going to freak out. But she's an extremely skilled politician, and she's got a lot of charisma. If she's running as the Democrat, and then you have to split the Republican ticket between, Tucker's party and whoever is kind of the establishment or the MAGA candidate, however you want to conceive of it, that I think that AOC runs away with it then.
I think I'll just throw out there, and I know we haven't really talked about him yet. I don't know if we're going to, and it's a separate topic or whatever, but I think that Abdul El-Sayed, I think if he wins in November, he runs as for president.
A guy, his name already is making me, and I'm not racist, but that just knowing how people think, hearing a guy named Abdul.
You literally have said you're a race
like a
realist.
guy like Barack Hussein Obama.
No, he said
Well,
race
if his name was
realism is
Hussein
real.
Obama, I don't think he would have.
Did you guys see in Vegas? They mentioned that cop whose name was like Al Bed or something, and then everyone started booing.
No, I didn't.
There was a cop who got killed in line of duty the other day, and when they mentioned his name because it was an Arabic name, people started booing.
I don't want to talk crap about this guy, Jack, that you're talking about, because he might be a phenomenal human being
I'll talk crap about him.
worth overriding my prejudice.
Well,
about
I'd
his
like to
name.
talk crap about him,
I'm just
if I
talking
may.
from the sidelines. Oh, you do?
Yeah. of
What's
course.
his story? What's this guy?
Well, he's a fake doctor for one. That's
doctor.
A big old fake doctor.
Oh.
Well, yeah, he went to medical school. If I have this down correctly, he went to medical school, but then never completed any of his residency requirements, never got a license, and kind of runs around portraying himself as a doctor, yet he never actually practiced as a doctor.
Huh.
He got his license, but he never
He
practiced.
didn't get a license.
Oh.
Didn't get, because you have to do all
you
this
gotta do the
stuff.
residency.
You have to
It's
do
like
the
years of stuff
You have
additional
to
school,
years of
yeah.
additional stuff. You can't just go to school and then not become a doctor. It's like he finished the school and decided it was too much work for him because he's lazy, and decided that he would kind of like go into politics.
It's totally going to be Rubio, Vance versus Buttigieg, AOC.
Yeah, I could see. I do think that Buttigieg's name will be up there. As someone's vice president, it seems like he's making those moves. But I just say that I don't discount a guy like El-Sayed, that if he wins for Senate, and keep in mind that we had a guy named Obama who won as a senator in the Midwest, and he'd only been there for 2 years, and he ran for president, and he won, and his name was
When Obama got elected, I remember I was watching the TV, and what year was it? It was like it was
2008.
2000, yeah, 8.
2000. No, it wasn't. He didn't win the Senate in 2008. He won the Senate in 06.
Oh, in Senator 6, yes.
2-6.
And
he famously spoke at the 2004 RNC or
at the
DNC.
2006 election when he won, he was asked, "Will you now run for president?" Literally, he had not been in federal elected office. He had just gotten elected senator-elect, and they were like, "Will you run for president now?"
In
It was very strange.
2004, my
Yeah,
roommate,
the media was just gushing over him.
I lived in Chicago in 2003 to 2005, and my roommate was like, he's going to be president one day. In 2004, I was like, who is this guy? He's like, he's just so awesome, dude. He's a community organizer. He's going to be great. I'm like, really? Okay.
Here's what I want to say to you, Jack.
What you gonna say? What you gonna say?
Politics is completely fake, and everyone's lying.
Wait, are you telling me politics is fake and gay?
Everyone.
What?
Right, left, upside down.
With an H, dude.
And I'm going
Outta
to tell you
here.
why. I want you to look at this here tweet from Chris Martinson.
Oh, I saw this tweet. This was fun.
Jack Posobiec says, I have a chart. Immigration is going up. Everything else is going down.
What an excellent
And
chart.
you are correct. 100%.
What an incredible chart.
It's a meme. It represents an idea. It is
for
it's
gas
not
prices.
literal. What did Chris Martinson say? Why is it that Jack Posobiec keeps conflating immigration with migration? What does that mean?
I'm at a loss here. So
I think he meant illegal immigration.
Well,
But
so
the point is,
I get what he means though, because so immigration inherently in the word, you would think, well, that's legal immigration because
Right.
of course that means you've gone through a process.
Otherwise, it's an invasion.
You know, and otherwise the invasion. So he's saying, he's like, I don't know his voices, but I imagine it sounds like this. It seems intentional or ignorant to the point that he should stop posting and dragging down the collective IQ, which is really interesting because actually it's mass migration that is dragging down the collective IQ of the United States.
Which is, well, to be fair, it's actually bringing up the average IQ.
Go on.
So when stupid people come in, the IQ is the average of the body. Mm-hmm. So if you have 100 smart people and they can all so IQ is relative to the body itself. So you have a group of people and we say their IQ relative to neighboring countries is 110. Then you bring in a bunch of people who are 90 IQ. They go, but wait, now the relative body itself, right? So now what we have to do is we have to lower the standard to 100 represents the average. 100 is going to go down lower. So if you needed to be able to solve like a quadratic equation, which is not particularly difficult, I guess, but in order to have like a strong IQ, now it's like you have to know how to like water a plant. And now it's like, hey, he put the star in the star hole. That's 100 IQ. Everyone in America's IQ goes up.
It's like it's like when you go back and you look at those. This was an 8th grade test in 1910, and you're like, and they're like, translate this into Greek.
Yeah.
And it's kind of amazing. No, and it's funny because guys like Chris Martenson are totally, totally ignorant of what's actually happening in reality. Ignorant.
I gotta mention
stupid because we are bringing in stupid people.
When he says you're dragging down the collective IQ, he's calling you very smart. He's saying that you're so smart, your IQ is so high, it forces the average up. It forces one.
I'm throwing the average off.
Yeah, exactly.
Shame on you.
So everyone's IQ number is going down because it's harder to maintain a high level of
doesn't actually understand how averages work.
I thought Chris was very, very articulate and kind of a pioneer during COVID. He was really outspoken.
No, he's fake. It's all fake. It's all fake.
We had him on the show.
I understand.
At least once.
It's just this is fake. Like this Tucker Carlson world. It's all fake. And I think Trump's in on it too. I think it's all fake. I'm in the car with Tucker. Tucker calls Trump on the phone and they're laughing together and giggling. Granted, that was a year and a half ago. But still, I mean, this is.
I will say that I've seen, and I don't know Chris. I've never spoken to Chris, and I mean, I can just tell his level of IQ by reading this, but I will say though, I've been in like the Congress, right, and in the Hall of Congress when you go to where the media row is basically set up in the gallery, that you can see these. They'll all be standing next to each other, but one's on Fox, one's on CNN, one's on MSNBC, and you could see these congressmen, whatever, and they'll be on the shows, and they're just blasting each other, just lighting each other up, red meat, blue meat, right, all the rest. Then the camera, well, I guess blue soy, and and then the cameras go off, and they're like, "Hey, it's so good to see you. How are you doing?" And like they kind of hug, and you're like, What just happened?
We have.
Yep.
It's like the curtain comes down.
We'll have like Brian Shapiro on the show, which is notably hostile dialogue sometimes. Shapiro is known for being like aggressive as hell. Tim and Phil blow up at each other but afterwards we'll all hang out. Well, a bunch of us, but we're transparent about it. It's not like we pretend to hate each other and then hang out.
No, but like the thing is, when we're sitting at this table with someone like Brian and he's saying Trump did bad thing that Trump did not do, and we're arguing. When the show's over, we're no longer talking about that, so the temperature comes down. However, I will stress, then I will be sitting at a poker table with Brian, and it's almost the same thing. He'll be at the table, I roll with the punches, so like when we have him on the show, like I'll laugh at jokes. I don't care if you make fun of Trump. It's just what is true is, and what is fake is fake. So when he says something that's not true, like we're sitting at the poker table and starts talking about gun control, for which he knows nothing about, it's the same thing. We're at it again.
I blocked him on X.
Again.
Yeah, he said he loves you, by the way.
I just think... every day I watch this stuff, and it was interesting during COVID because a lot of podcasts had nothing to talk about because nothing was happening. Because we were all locked down, it was the same story almost every single day. And now we're getting that same thing again, and people are so desperate for there to be something to talk about. It's this. I'll tell you what's much more interesting. I was watching body camera videos today.
I love watching body camera.
It was like some dudes on a motorcycle were evading the cops, and then when the cops, he like fled the cops and then came back and taunted them, then sped off again. And then the helicopter came out and then he was screwed. And it turns out he was like a 16-year-old kid. and he's screaming like, "Call my mom!" And they're like, "Nope, you're going to prison."
Asmongold watches a ton of those now. He reacts to a ton of those.
People used to say that
Asmongold?
Well, yeah, because it's way more interesting to watch regular people like falling on skis than it is to talk about. Like, listen, this is my point. This beef, these arguments, it's make believe because they're trying to convince you to watch them. That's all.
I've been into farming. I know it's like what, but
You planted anything?
some microgreens, some broccoli grew.
I got an idea.
deliciously.
No, I mean,
Ian, I figured it out. You know what we need to make? We need to make body camera videos, but it's like the cops are chickens and the criminals are chickens. And so you'll get that voice. You ever watch those videos where it's like the true crime voice and it's like,
Yeah, he's like narrating over the top.
and it'll be like, the police officers pulled the man over, but they didn't expect what would happen next. And the car like peels out. We got to make these. And then it's like, it'll be like a chicken body camera and you'll go like, burp, 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 burp.
Yeah.
And then the other chicken will pull out a knife
That's
and
where I'm
like
at.
swing at
Make
the
West Virginia farming fun again, man. If we can inspire the world to start farming, I mean, that's
Chicken
the healing.
cops.
Like, if you really want to heal the planet.
Can somebody AI make chicken cops?
You know why I
gonna do
love
that right
farming
now,
right
actually.
now is because I've been so indoctrinated with instant gratification. I'm so used to like push a button and see outcome that planting a seed and not seeing it for like a day, but it's still growing. It's so slow, you know, and there's this miraculous reward with patience and diligence.
that's what you're doing is you're rewiring your dopamine receptors.
He's not farming. He's not even gardening.
No. I get that. But what I'm saying is,
awesome.
there is a difference. There is a difference between being locked in on social media all day and looking for that instant gratification. You're like, why is ChatGPT still loading? Why is Grok still loading? I need it now. I need it now.
What do you mean I hit my
What?
usage limit? What?
Turn up the data center. You know, I need this immediately. Why would you render? Versus, you know, having the patience that it takes for a slow, gradual release of dopamine. I personally don't have the patience for gardening or farming. My wife loves gardening because she's more into nurturing and she's more into growing things. And so, you know, that's why when one of her flowers blooms, she has a huge response to it. And it is more fulfilling than just like pulling up an image of a flower on a phone because it's real.
Yeah, my mom grew up fairly poor in South Carolina, and she always had a garden because they were supplementing their nutrition with that and stuff. So she always had a garden in our backyard when I was growing up. So like there'd always be like vegetables. We just go out there and grab them and stuff. Even still, you know, my mom's in her 70s, and every year come March she's planting stuff to put under the lights so that way when May comes she can get it out into the actual raised beds that she still has. She has no grass in her yard. It's all raised beds and stuff. But it is a different kind of reward when you're, you know, searching for that dopamine hit when you're scrolling or whatever, as opposed to you like spending time out in the you know, outside. You have to weed and stuff, make sure that the beds don't get overgrown with garbage and, you know, all that stuff that goes along with gardening. The reward is different.
I still don't have kids, but I imagine it's sort of similar to watching a kid grow up because it's not
What
instant. Planting and raising a garden.
I don't know about
I don't think so.
No. I what you're saying in a meta sense is correct. It's the process of nurturing, right? Are they totally different things? Of course, right? But it's caring about something that's outside yourself, that's other than yourself. It's putting the time and effort in, and partially it's a responsibility and a duty too, right? I've
had a garden before.
You have to garden your
And
flowers.
maybe I would say to an extent there's an overlap, but it's like a garden is 0.01% of the feeling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not saying it's the same thing.
No,
but-
they're just like, yeah, but you know, if like a grizzly bear came to my garden, I just watch and be like, look at him go.
Look,
And if a grizzly bear came up to my kid, I'd be like, I am going to
you might
fight
get
this
involved.
bear.
if it's-
I might get involved.
if it's your daughter.
I am going to fight this
No,
bear. and
Ian,
probably die.
I'll tell you what though. But that is here's how it's the same thing, because when I see my kid hit a double in the playoff game, that's watching the flower bloom. You know, when I see my son being able to, you know, bang out 10 pull-ups on the monkey bars and then flip upside down and flip down. That's watching the flower bloom. Like, and it does take longer, but the release is so much sweeter.
Yeah, with animals, there's the animal husbandry. That's the term of like raising and caring for animals. Husband, I went to the etymology of the term. It means house, bound. So house bond.
Oh, yeah.
A house bond.
House bond,
that you
that's
take
cool.
with your wife or your animals. You know, you become their animal. You husband them basically.
That's what Tim's been doing with you all this time.
I'm domesticated as a result. If you can't tell.
Tim, is he completely domesticated at this point, or
No. It's more like we left the door open and he wandered in.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to like your
a
shed
process.
and there's like a raccoon in there.
Right.
You're like, ah.
you're like, stay here, little buddy. Come on, this is a
No,
nice
it's more like I don't want it to bite me. I don't want to get rabies. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Don't know where I'm at.
And you can't get rid of it.
wanna
You
know.
don't know what he's putting in his mouth. You know what I mean?
It keeps coming back.
It keeps coming back. Well, I mean, we keep leaving the food out, so
Yeah.
Anyway,
graphene everywhere.
I won't go too hard on farming, but because all this garbage, digital this and digital that, and what he said and what she said, like if we can produce our own food and like legitimately fund a city, like provide all that,
We have too
Chinese
much
want to
food.
buy the farmland and the BlackRock wants to buy the farmland, so it could be a good antidote.
we have too much food, man. Like watching these videos, like mukbang videos, it's just sweet meteor of death.
But is
isn't-
food cheap right now, Tim? I don't know.
Nothing's cheap right now. But the problem isn't
Well,
a lack of
the-
food. The
the-
problem is a lack of the ability to deliver food to the people that need it. We
No, the
produce
issue is food is a generic term, and it's not appropriate. What we really need to ask is protein cheap?
Right.
Because starch is cheap, and that's why people are so fat. You go to the ice cream shop, and it's like $2.95, and they give you a quart of ice cream. I'm not even playing. You go out here to one of these like Dairy Queen or whatever, and you're like, let me get like a peanut buster, whatever they're called, and they're literally going to give you a full pint of soft serve covered in chocolate and peanuts, and it's like $2. Wow. Now that's not going to develop muscle mass for you, but it'll make you fat as hell. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing a bunch of morbidly obese yet still malnourished people. If you are a parent trying to feed your kids, they can't just eat sweets. They can't just eat blueberries. They got to eat their chicken before they can have their blueberries.
Give them eggs too.
Yeah.
But what about? Well, I was thinking
My daughter
about,
was fighting my wife for hours because she wanted to eat blueberries. And my wife was like, you've got to finish your chicken before you can have the blueberries. And it was literally hours where they were like, she was refusing to eat
playing
it.
chicken.
No,
And
but
then-
that's
and then
that's part of-
finally she
that's part
finished all of her chicken.
That's part of being a parent, though, is because that's also.
Are you going to eat those burritos?
What burritos? Are there burritos? What are you talking about?
Smelling good.
Somebody talking about burritos. Why are we talking about burritos?
I don't know.
What's
dude.
going on?
It's probably like a tangent that had completely unrelated to anything that was going on.
Well, no. So we were trying. I was trying to change the topic a little bit for this preset little thing, but now we've got a chicken up here. We've got the you made the chicken police.
Chicken
thing, didn't
cops.
you? It's,
I wonder what it sounds like.
Can we hear it?
Freeze, Klepper!
Did he call him a clucker?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
That's a racial slur.
Wow. Yeah. What? No, but no, he can say it because he's a chicken too.
Oh, that's true.
Freeze,
He's also
Klepper!
a C.
Wait, did you say Crease?
Freeze, Klepper!
I think he said
Clopper?
It sounds more like clufper.
Like klepto?
But look, his wing turns into a foot.
Whoa.
I want to watch this show. It needs to be real chickens, though.
I want to watch this.
It's coming.
Yeah. Anyway, you were
Wait,
talking about
also, he has a hand there.
What did
He
he,
does.
steal?
it's a bag,
Chicken feed.
chicken feed,
Obviously.
You know,
and his mask just doesn't cover anything.
the
Like
beak goes through the bandana.
I can I know.
Everyone knows you can tell chickens by their beaks, so that does no good.
yeah.
But you were talking about burritos.
Well, yeah, because well, I mean, Tim, you've seen the giant burrito debate.
Yeah, the
that's
burrito
been going
debate.
on all over the place.
Yep.
I think I want to say Matt Walsh or Andrew Colvett started it or something, but the Mark Thiessen, who's this big like neoconservative AEI guy, has been, and they've just been going back and forth all over the place about it. And so what I said was, it was this whole argument about whether or not burritos are too expensive these days, and they were having an argument about why don't you just make burritos at home, or shouldn't you be able to just go out and eat burritos? And so Tim, what we decided to do here tonight was we got burritos for everybody.
We got 5 burritos. 5
There we
people in the
go.
room.
There we go. And I should be
Paulie
clear,
burritos. You want
Tim.
to rip it open and you want to?
Well, Tim actually got the burritos. It was my idea, but Tim got the burrito.
Wait, does it say free chips and guac on it?
It does say, no. If
that a coupon
you
for
join
it?
If you join their whatever, thing.
Give them your information.
Chipotle, We've got. So hold on. We've got different types of burritos here. So all right, we've got.
Walking through this.
We've got white rice, black beans, and we got steak.
That's a go-to.
We've got white rice, black chicken and sour cream,
Shout out.
and cheese. I mean, not all have cheese. I guess.
They don't all have cheese. I think only 2 of them do.
White rice, pinto beans, chicken and cheese.
Beautiful.
No sour cream, though.
We have got with no sour cream, which I like because I don't like sour cream. This is the same. No sour cream, chicken and
can
cheese,
drink
pinto
that stuff.
beans, and last burrito. Woo! Burrito with guac, white rice, fajitas, black beans, chicken, and mild tomato. Tim, that's got to be you, isn't it?
King of all burritos right
I
now.
don't need any of those.
You don't eat any of those? All right. So these
gluten.
are the 5 burritos.
And now, how much, sir, would you be willing to pay? Having read the ingredients, what would you be willing to pay for a burrito? Name your price.
I mean, I don't know. You figure it's about like, these are pretty hefty. These are pretty hefty. I think maybe like 10, 12 bucks, something like that.
You got to pick one number.
12.
13. I'm going to say 13.
Okay. Let's go around the room.
I said
I haven't looked
11
at
was
this.
my first thought, and I thought how ridiculous that was, and then I thought 12.
All right.
Yeah,
11.
these, by the way,
So what did you say? You said 12?
I said 12. These are
say
these
13,
are
say
these
11,
are
what do you
not
got?
like a little, like
Yeah, they're
Are they
fancy.
double
like a
meat?
soft-
I think
I
is
went-
the question.
I went to
What?
Chipotle
They
today
double meat?
and had a burrito for lunch, and I know how much that cost me, so I'm going to say $20.
$20.
I mean, I wouldn't
okay.
pay that.
Well, you guys clearly have never watched The Price is Right, because by me going $1 over you and you're at 20, that means I have the widest range. And of course, the actual cost per
wait,
burrito.
$1 over 20.
Don't you know The Price is Right works? The way that you're supposed to get as
without
close as you
going
get
over.
without going over.
Right.
So when the guy says, "I think the motorcycle's $100," the next guy goes 101.
How much did you say yours was?
Meaning he'll always be closer without going over. The other guy just loses.
Right.
How much did you say yours was?
So he said 12, I said 13, he said 11, you said 20.
Okay.
Which means if they're between 13 and 20, I win. And I do. Actually, not completely. The chicken and cheese with sour cream is $12.35.
Okay.
That's cool.
$12.35. The steak, just steak, nothing else. White rice, black beans, and steak. There's nothing else in it. $15.
Jeez.
Yeah. The chicken, the chicken with pinto beans. The chicken is $12.35. Yeah. Then we have a chicken with fajita veggies is $16.
I got double meat on mine today.
Steak was $15.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really.
So I just want people to understand, because we were mentioning this before the show, why communists are winning, and what the right needs to reckon with is that, bro, one could make the argument like, well, maybe Chipotle's too expensive for you, but if you're working at a fast food job or whatever, and you're making $20 an hour, after taxes, you're working for 1 hour out of the day just for your lunch.
Yeah.
Let alone having, if you're making 20, 25 an hour or 30 an hour, and you got to feed 2 kids, like, I mean, this is it's wild, because this is not the drink. There's no sides. It's just the burrito.
Just a burrito.
And I got to be honest, like, let's do the math real quick. How many calories are in one of them bad boys? How many
Probably
calories?
800.
I would say 1,000.
700 was.
Like I said, mine today. I did the math, and it was
I think
900 and
it's
change.
1,000.
I would say 1,000.
Yeah, because of tortilla. Because the meat, actually, maybe
I guess
less.
you got a bowl.
Ian, which one do you want?
The final one that you mentioned with all those delicious ingredients. I'm gonna wait till
go
after
for
the
it.
show before
Get
I
in
go
there.
get it. Thanks, dude.
Jack calls me up and he's
Carter?
like, Tim, did you see the burrito debate? And I was like, yeah, something about it. He's like, we should get burritos. I was like, all right, I'll order burritos.
Carter?
Give mine to Ian.
I won't eat the gluten.
He's already got one.
You don't want it?
Give 'em
I'll
all.
eat it after
Save
the
it
show
for
as well.
later, yeah.
Whatever one nobody else wants, I'll take.
Well, I
it.
got
Between
more.
740 and 1,200.
Okay.
740 to 1200.
Yeah, it depends.
It depends what you have.
So chicken and
So,
steak.
Phil, do you want
Oh, wait,
another
check it out.
burrito? Well, no, I got
Chicken,
burrito.
chicken or steak with rice, beans, cheese, and sour cream is 1,000 calories. So I was right.
Chicken, cheese. Whenever you start adding cheese and sour cream.
Sour cream, yeah.
Yeah, you get those numbers way up.
Man, it is the age of cooking is upon us with Putin. I saw him giving a speech to a bunch of college kids.
Cooking with Putin?
Yeah, cooking.
Now
with Putin
now
would
that'd
the
be a
most
show.
Based reality show. But it was like 8 years ago. It was before Biden got into office 7 years ago, and they were like, Vladimir, how do we become best men for our country? You know, they're asking Vladimir, and he's like, learn to cook. He tells all these young men, learn to cook.
Oh, really?
And they laugh at him because they think he's joking.
And then he gives them a death stare, and they're like,
absolutely serious. National security and for your own livelihood.
So he
learn to
literally
cook.
says, "Let them cook."
No, learn to cook. He tells, let
does.
him cook, let him cook. But he was straight up like, yo, bro, we're about to enter a high era of raise. He probably knew the prices were about to blast through the roof. So like, you can save 60% of your cost if you cook it at home.
The thing about cooking,
That is, by the way, that is good life advice. So this has been the argument, right? That the one side of the argument says they're like, hey, that's way too much for a burrito. And by the way, Tim, so this was DoorDash, but did you include the delivery cost in that, or was that just the base price?
No. If we include the full cost, it's about $21 per burrito. So for delivery.
So for delivery, okay. So
Now, if I was going to get in my car and drive there, I mean, the total cost of gas is going to be like $1.
now you're
time spent,
gas and time though.
So if I was going to drive, and it's going to take me about a half an hour there and back, well, actually, maybe a little bit longer. It's about 15 minutes there. Then you order and you wait, unless you order in advance. It's about an hour of my time. That means it's going to be about $3,296 per burrito.
That's like a legitimate calculation too when you're making a lot of money.
No, it is a calculation. It's no, seriously. I
I ain't charging my time for burritos like that.
So this is a whole other aspect of this that I do think should enter into the conversation. That if people say, oh, like for the the anti DoorDash people, et cetera, that when you get something delivered, you are literally saving your time.
Yeah.
And so if you have the ability, or if you're busy or doing something else, this is why people do delivery to begin with.
But this is why I never tip DoorDash drivers, because they don't deserve it. Just zero.
You never tip. My gosh.
No, I always tip more than it's it's really crazy to me. Like, how much a DoorDash delivery driver gets for driving half an hour? They get like $7.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So you want to know what's really crazy?
I was gonna say, like, I always tip. Like, what do you mean
DoorDash won't let me tip
How come?
Why not?
because I try to tip a lot. I tried it, and so I didn't know what was going on. I pulled up DoorDash, and so maybe about like once a month we do a big order for the company, and we'll get a bunch of Mexican or Taco Bell or something.
Yeah.
Which is not Mexican. And so I might order like $500 in Taco Bell, which is like 3 burritos at this point. But I'm kidding. So I'll go to the tip and I'll be like, this is going to be like 5 boxes, 5 like of the party boxes.
So you want to do a big tip?
So I want to do a big tip. It won't like. So what happens is I go in, and I'll be like, let's do a $50 tip for this one, and it'll go error, and it won't tell me why. I'll just say error, and I'll go, well, what's going on? And I'll try again. Then I keep I'll change my payment method. Error. I'm like, I don't know why I can't order. And then one day I finally figured it out. I thought, maybe it's because the tip's too big. So I reduced the tip down to like $20, went through.
That's super
That's
weird.
cheap.
Yep.
You could just give them cash when they come too.
There are, this may be a surprise to most people because, and I don't mean this as a humble brag, but you don't experience this whenever, and I don't think anybody wants to try it out, but if you're ever at a kiosk where they flip the thing and ask for a tip, and it allows you to punch in a custom number, try going 9999999 and see what happens, because it'll stop you, and it'll drop it all the way down to like $17 or something. So this happened. So this is what got me thinking about.
Well, I've had people. I've had them catch it and be like, did you hit too many zeros? Or like, did you? You're like, no, that's why.
There must be some mistake.
Yeah, like whenever I go to a restaurant,
seriously.
I usually tip around 100%. Because there's a few reasons. One, it's nice. The people are very happy, and they're happy to see us, and we want to be good to the community, and we want to be good. And I am blessed, so I shall bless others. And also, you just you want to spread good. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you the story. I was in a cab,
and you're presumably if you're around here, you're going to go back to the restaurant.
Yeah, they all know me. They're very happy to see me.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing too: is like you get perks, right? So when I walk up to the steakhouse, they say, Mr. Poole, whenever you need a seat, you can sit here. Like, you're very kind to us. And I'm like, it's like, but let me tell you a story. I was in Manhattan. And getting a cab from Manhattan to Brooklyn sucks because they can't pick up fares in Brooklyn. They have the green cabs and the yellow cabs are separate. Green cab is outside of Manhattan. Yellow cab is inside Manhattan. I don't know if they still do it this way. This was 10 years ago.
I actually didn't know that.
I would take Uber.
Yeah, so I'd use the app. Cab would pull up.
Well, that was the whole medallion thing, right?
And that's different. Like Medallion's good for the city. It's just they restrict boroughs.
Okay.
So the cabs will pull up and they'll roll their window down a tiny bit and they'll say, where are you going?
Right.
And they're not allowed to do this. And then you say Brooklyn, they speed off. Because if they go to Brooklyn, they can't get a return fare, so they're going to lose an hour in traffic. So I get a car, and I get in, sit down, and close the door, and he goes, where to, boss? And I said, here's the address. And he went, pissed. Starts driving. He's pissed the whole way. He's muttering to himself. He's furious. He's just talking trash, just under his breath, driving like a dick. So you know what I did? You know what I did for this guy when I paid and it said tip? I taught him a lesson. I tipped 100%. And you know what he did? He turned around shocked and said, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Thank you so much. And I said, because I know you can't get a fare on the way back, I wanted to give you a good tip so you can make it back. And he was like, thank you so much. And you know why I did that?
You could have just told him that, by the way.
Told him what?
That you were going to do that.
Well, I didn't think about it until like, until I was mad.
No,
but I'm not going to be like, hey, buddy, don't be mad at me. I'm going to give you a tip. I always tell the Uber drivers now when we do big fares between like West Virginia and DC, I'll be like, hey, buddy, I got you for your way back. Just don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah, because I'll do stuff like that where like,
Here's the thing.
Or if I'm asking you to do something different, I'm like, hey, man, I've got like, this is what's going to happen at the end. Just
Here's what would happen if that guy stayed pissed off. He'd get back to Manhattan. He'd pick somebody up and he'd be pissed. And that anger is going to pass off onto this guy who gets in. So guy gets off work. He's tired. He just wants to go home. He gets in a cab. This cab driver's driving like a dick. He's pissed. Now the guy's like, oh, my God, my head hurts. He gets home. He walks into his house, and his wife is like, did you file the taxes for last year? And he goes, oh, my God, I just got off work. The cab driver's been into... But here's what happens. Now the cab driver is happier than a pig in ish. He drives up. He picks up this tired business guy. And he's got a smile on his face, and he says, hey, man, things are going to be okay. And the guy says, maybe they are going to be okay. Then he gets home, and his wife says, you fine? He goes, honey, that's my bad. I'll take care of it. And there's you break that anger down.
Paying it
not
forward.
Not always perfect. Sometimes bad people, you don't want to give them money because they're bad people. But
This is the plot of It's a Wonderful Life, by the way.
there you go.
I got almost.
Of course, he does almost kill himself.
But let me go back to this.
He does almost kill himself.
This is big. This is big. So this happened to me. This was like a year ago when I first noticed this. I was handed the tablet for a tip. And I was like, I'm going to leave a big tip, right? Let's make a splash.
Yeah.
And when I did, I put $1,000. The number immediately dropped down to like 200 and something. And it said tip amount exceeds limit. And then I was like, it's not letting me put the number in. And it was at a restaurant. The waitress was like, what were you trying to put? I was trying to give you $1,000. And she's like, oh, wow. Then I'm like, it won't let me. I was like, I'm sorry. I can only give you, it's the bill was like 100 and something. And it only allowed me to tip like 200. And she was like, well, I'm happy either way. And I'm like, yeah, that's messed up, though. And I guess it's because they're concerned people would accidentally put in too much money. And so then I've tried on other kiosks. I'll just go 99999, and then it drops it way down. And after that happened, that's when I realized why DoorDash wasn't working for me. I stopped using DoorDash because I was like, it keeps giving me errors. I can't buy anything. I didn't know why. So then I went in, I changed the tip down lower, and it worked. And I was just like, how insane is it that they don't let you leave good tips?
And this is why cash is king. This is why digital currency will never fly.
Yeah.
And that's why they want digital, and that's why they want to lock it all down, because they want to control. Listen, people need to understand this. The IRS does not want you giving your money away. People don't understand this. I have to explain it all the time. Working class people,
Wait. No tax on tips.
No tax on tips. People don't understand this, not working with large sums of money as a business with, input, output, ingestion, et cetera, accounts receivable, that when we hire somebody, we have to write down a paragraph describing what their job is, and we have to have proof they've done that job, because we've been audited, and they say, you have a person, prove it. And we have to show the body of work. Here's the video he made. And they go, okay, we get it. We got audited. They claimed that Elad Eliyahu, who lives in New York City, who sells us footage via invoice, they claimed he was a full-time employee. And we were like, this is not true. He's a guy, we buy, we don't care. And they made us pay some ridiculous amount of money. And then we go to our lawyers first, and we were like, this is insane. They're trying to make us pay. They're claiming that the entire time we've had Elad here, we owe employment tax on everything that's been paid, even though it's an invoice purchasing things from him. And these are the Uber laws they passed, where they basically said you can't contract anymore. Yep.
So this is it for the city of New York.
No. This is West Virginia. Every state passed Uber laws. They're called Uber laws, where you cannot hire contractors anymore. If you want to hire a contractor, it's insane. They can't be related to your company. So the idea is this. If Elad films a video, and then we say, we want to buy that video from you. Can't do it. Because we're a media company that produces videos, we can only employ him full-time. What is it, W-9 or whatever?
W-2.
I think the tax form before is like W-2 is, maybe you're right, I don't know.
I think W-9's the
W2.
no, 990 is the other one.
I9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, maybe.
Or 1099.
1099.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they claimed that
1090 is
everyone we contracted was actually an employee because the work they did was related to the business that we do. And they said contracting would be like if your media company needs a plumber. So you don't want to hire a full-time plumber.
What?
Yep.
I've never heard this.
We had
That's
to pay
not
$60,000. We had to pay $60,000
That's
because we went to our lawyers and they said after legal fees and going to court challenging this, you're going to end up risking an additional 30, 40K on top. You got to pay the 60K, and we were like, this is insane. And it's Uber laws. It's what they're called. So the Uber laws got passed because of Uber, DoorDash, and these companies. It started with California. They said Uber is hiring people as staff while claiming they're contractors.
Right.
Uber said we're a social networking app.
Right.
We connect drivers and passengers. And they said, no, you're a taxi service that has employees. And so they passed these laws saying, here's how contracting must be defined from now on. And although there's exemptions and we qualify for all of them, it doesn't matter because they're here to take your money from you. And they're going
And I get it. Like, I get that argument for gig apps. I do actually get the argument that they're making, but it sounds like, just like every time, that the government's taking way more than they should have.
Why wouldn't they?
And then
So,
they
yeah, man.
waste it and give it to Somali fraudsters.
Indeed.
Well, and
That's the
then yeah,
problem.
because like, and you're, but even on the front end too, right? How many fraudsters are using, like, you go to DC, you go to Philly, you go to any of the big cities, that how do you know, like, are you actually checking that the person that it says in your app is the one who's picking you up, or are you just checking the car?
I say his name and the license. I look at the license plate, then I say the guy's name. And
But
he
they do
says
this
my
all
name, and I'm
they
like,
do this all the time, where one guy will have the account.
Yep.
And then they'll get somebody else to run the car so they could do it 24/7.
We had this problem with DoorDash, so we started doing ID checks, and they got mad. Because it was
They don't like when you ID check.
Well, we had what pissed me off is that after like the sixth time, because we have security, right? We have armed security.
Yeah.
We have a gate. You can't just get in the property. So they pull up to the gate, and then security is supposed to
Very well armed security.
check. Oh, understatement.
Yes.
We've had
That's
some.
why I'm like-
We've recently upped our security. I'm not going to explain exactly how, but
Sometimes when I have like someone who's never driven here before, I try to like I have to like I explained it to them before they arrive, and I always think they think that I'm joking, and then they actually get here and they're like,
wow.
he wasn't joking.
I saw the new security today, and it surprised me. It's a very, very good
Okay, I'll
idea,
just
though.
tell. It's an auto defense 50 cal turret mounted on top of there's two of them, and they're just slowly going back and forth with lasers. No, I'm kidding.
And it doesn't have any triggers on the back. It's all remotely operated. I couldn't get them to work at all.
He's just kidding. You can't see them. They're camouflaged.
Yeah. They look like cell towers.
They look like data centers.
Yeah. What were we just talking about before we changed the subject and talked
Doritos.
about
Uber laws.
tipping drivers.
Well, the big
drivers.
question here, the big argument, and we haven't even had the debate yet because we were talking about tipping, which is a very good point. But the real question I think too is, so it's this debate on, should you just suck it up and eat the expensive burrito, or should you suck it up and be forced to eat at home? Like, should you settle for less, or this third option of like actually making things better for people? And ultimately, this is what the socialists are offering. They're coming out and saying, we will make your life better.
Yep.
We will screw over those companies that are doing all of those things. They're going to lie to you and say that all the prices are the fault of the companies, and the companies are evil. They're not going to bring up any of the government things that we've been discussing, not to mention the Federal Reserve or whatever else you want to talk about, endless wars, different things going on that drive inflation. But the point being is if you're sitting there and just telling voters in an election year that you need to settle for less, you're going to lose.
Yes.
You're going to be electorally slaughtered at the ballot box, and you probably should deserve to lose as well. And this is why it's one of the things we talk about in the book, and it's that socialists always use a grievance that is real. Sometimes, a lot of the time they make up, grievance as well. But here's my point: they use real grievances and then come up with solutions that sound like they're palatable and sound like they're popular, and this is why they run. Vladimir Lenin, when he was with the Bolsheviks, right? He didn't run on the Red Terror. He ran on when I say ran, built the movement. He built the movement by saying peace, land, bread.
Yeah.
By saying we're going to end the disastrous foreign war that's unpopular. We are going to offer land reform, which might be like rent reform or housing reform, you might say today, and bread, literally free food, almost like free grocery stores. Where are you guys hearing all those things today? Yeah. That's literally the same thing you're hearing from the socialists right now.
Well, you take a look, too, at the Mamdani grocery stores, and here's a chain of events we described in the past couple of weeks. You need IDs to buy.
So good, isn't it?
Now, hold on. Why would you need an ID? The question was asked, what if people buy and then resell? Well, you'll need a library card-esque thing to buy here. Hold on. How would having a library card stop you from buying and reselling?
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, so what would they have to implement along with your ID to stop from buying and reselling?
Maybe rations.
Indeed. And now you're in a food line where you need your ID and they say only 1 gallon of milk per week.
Almost like, so Tanya Tay, so my wife, who was born in the Soviet Union, she has memories of food stamps. And she actually said that we used to play with food stamps. Like it was like we would have, trading cards, Pokemon cards, magic
I think
cards.
You can buy the old booklets.
You can buy them. And she said we would play with food stamps and we would sort of play around with them. And then, of course, like get in a lot of trouble if we lost one or something. But she 100% has memories of food stamps and bread lines in the Soviet Union.
I saw Trump. Well, I just saw like a Polymarket story that said that Trump asked the oil companies to lower their prices. I don't know how true that was, but I was like, geez, that's like
sounds fake.
Market
manipulation. He did say that. He said that in the Oval Office. No, I mean, it was a comment that he made. It was a comment that he made. I don't know that the government had any action.
No,
he did say it.
But that's like when the president starts asking companies to change their prices, you're like, oh, that sounds like we're heading towards price fixing, communism, state planning.
No, I actually think that because you'll see this, and I get that there's tails on this. I actually think that it's probably more the individual gas station owners keeping the prices high, because you'll see how cutthroat it is if you live in an area that's got gas stations that are, and a lot of them are franchised, but that are nearby, because you'll see some that are like very responsive to the price of, and it's just my personal opinion, I could be totally wrong on this, but you'll see that some are very responsive to oil futures, and then some that are like not responsive at all and keeping their price high, and by the way, for different reasons. And of course, that is part of a free market system. Like I'm not saying it's not, but someone might say like, oh, well, I'm the one that's closest to the highway, so I'm going to stay higher because I know people are going to come in, they don't want to drive out into town, so I'm just going to keep mine higher anyway. That's not like the CEO of Exxon saying that or whatever.
You brought up the Soviet communist revolution.
I do bring them up on a lot of occasions. I have a book actually.
Lenin,
right here, you could see it.
Oh yeah, that's on humans.
It is on humans. In fact, it's called The Secret History of Communist Revolutions and How to Crush Them.
They basically, exactly like you said, they pointed out the problems. They issued vague solutions, I guess, like we're going to get everyone.
Not just vague, but popular solutions.
And then what happened? What went wrong?
They killed everyone.
Like what? They got into power, and then did they just immediately start killing people?
Well, they killed.
We can't do what we promised.
Well, the killing started a lot before they came into power, but
they killed their way into power. That's true.
They certainly did.
Well, there was a war. There was a civil war.
There was a civil war.
Bolsheviks came out on top.
But they did come out on top. And what I guess the easiest way to say it is that none of their solutions made any sense. They all fell apart for a variety of different reasons because they were crazy and a bunch of thugs and criminals. But the problem was because the people who should have known better, and you see this in the socialist revolution after socialist revolution, the people who should have known better and fought back didn't. And the reason they didn't was because they said, oh, those guys are crazy, they'll never take power. Oh, people will see through the stupidity of their actions and we won't work. Charlie Kirk asked me once, he said, how big was the Bolshevik Party? How many people were? I said, like, at one point it was really only like 1,000 people. He said, and how big was, how many people were in Russia? I'm like, it's the whole Russian Empire, right? Then how did so few take over so many? And I said, because they didn't take it seriously. Because they didn't take seriously what happens when you have a tiny minority of people. And before we hit that, could I say I did want to soft announce, not a big announce, but a soft announce, because all of the socialists are currently in the middle of a revolution right now. We are doing So soft announcing this, a second edition of Unhumans. And so it's going to be Unhumans Socialist Revolution. And it's going to, so it's the original book, but then we're going to have at least 10 new chapters, all new information about the things that have gone on, the things that have happened since the original book came out, and of course, the tactics to help you survive the communist uprising.
Do you think that there's a misnomer between socialism and communism floating? Because I don't like using the terms interchangeably. I hope, and maybe to overcome it, we need to know exactly what it is, so we know exactly
One
where to
leads to the other one, essentially.
So
communism,
keep in mind that one of the theses, or the thesis, I guess you could say, of our original book is that these are not ideologies; these are tactics. And so our thesis is that they don't actually want, at some level, they don't actually want the equality or the freedom that they claim, or they don't want everyone to actually have harmony and justice. What they want is to crush you because they hate you, because they're resentful of you and envious of you.
The Soviet Communist Party didn't want communism. They wanted what they got, which was vanguardism, a small group taking power, and the same with the CCP. They said communism, they led people towards everyone owns everything, and then a small group took over again.
Because communism's impossible. It's like saying we want unicornism. We want unicorns.
It's a sales tactic. It's just a sales tactic.
And socialism, you think also is, because socialism
Also a
is
sales tactic.
functional.
Yes. Socialism is the means to achieve communism.
Yeah.
They're not different.
But let's
I know you've
clarify.
made the argument before. They're not different.
But hold on. Communism is not possible. It is functionally impossible. Socialism is the economic system that communists employ. Communism is vanguardism. Okay, so if I said, Ian, we're going to have unicornism where we'll be led by unicorns and fairies, you'd be like, that's impossible. Correct. The idea that there is no leadership, that every human just exists flatly and equally, that's impossible, because the guy who spends all day fixing electrical systems is not going to tell you about what's happening on the southern border. So he doesn't know. So you can't have equality because people do different jobs. And then you will need some kind of centralized nucleus of varying strength. So these people say the means of production should be owned by everybody. Everybody should be equal and get equal access to everything. Okay, how do you administer resources between large groups of people who do different jobs? There's going to be there's going to be a nucleus there. That nucleus will de facto be in charge no matter what. So communism is a fairy tale. Socialism is everything. So when they're like, we're not communists, we're socialists, what they're saying is, we're going to build exactly what the communists have always built.
Yeah, so the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, so they referred to themselves as socialist republics, but of course everyone would say the USSR is communist, right? So when you say it's interchangeable, it is because it kind of is, right? It is a tactic which they claim, for them, communism means the utopia, and that we will eventually get to. In Chinese, 共产主义 is, it actually means, Phil, you'd appreciate this, it actually means public propertyism. So the abolishment of all private property is literally how they say the word communism in Chinese.
I want to pull up this story from the BBC. A Japanese town wrestles with identity after protests over its first mosque. Jack was just mentioning how it took only about 1,000 Bolsheviks to turn a nation of 40 million into a communist hell pit. And we've got this story from the BBC, which I find absolutely fascinating. I saw these videos. Japanese people protesting the construction of a mosque. They say, today it's a field of grass, but soon it'll be the site of the first mosque in this Japanese town. It makes me worry about how our community might change, says longtime resident Noriko Izumizawa. Plans to build an Islamic religious site in Fujisawa, a laid-back seaside town about an hour's drive south of Tokyo, have sparked a wide range of emotions. There's anger, fear, as well as hope and acceptance, exposing the growing anxieties over immigration and social change as Japan grapples with a labor shortage and a shrinking and aging population. Guys, this is crazy. Japan, of all places, allowing a mosque.
Japan for the Japanese.
Here we go. Islam taking everything over.
Can we show the response of the people? Do we have images, video?
We do have video. Let me see if I can pull one up. One of them that I had pulled up was blocked for being graphic. Let me
Excellent.
see.
Find that one.
Wow.
That's the one I want.
I can't play it.
And I mean, if it's that graphic, but you know, it.
Oh, we got dramatic music alongside it.
No, this is good.
Jeez. They're protesting the first mosque.
That's crazy. It's larger than the nearby Shinto shrine.
Shintoism. That's the.
Now, why would the Japanese government be allowing this to happen? Are they conquered?
Because
Well, you know, I got to stop. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say things like this. I was listening to Tucker Carlson. He said Islam's actually fine. Actually.
I was going to say, to be directly clear, Japan was conquered by
I was thinking.
By Christians.
by the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, militarily.
By Christians.
It was a largely Christian empire that did so.
The time of the conquering of Japan, the United States was like 95% Christian.
Sure, but you could also argue that it wasn't necessarily the most Christian act to drop the atomic bomb.
Sure. And we didn't, but that we didn't build churches.
And no,
Actually, probably did.
Not really. And South Korea more so than Japan. And also, to be clear, that Japan's surrender also came as they were being threatened by invasion of the Soviet Union at the same time, which everybody leaves out. Because the Soviets
from the West.
And they had taken Manchuria, which was the industrial base.
Soviets.
So and then after Japan, also in the book, by the way, after Japan surrendered rather than fight, the Red Army gave all the weapons to Chairman Mao. So that's where we get the ceasefire.
There's been ongoing protests in Fujisawa for a long time, actually.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Keep it up, boys. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Don't lose your country. Don't lose your identity.
Like, what is it? Freedom of religion's important, but
No, it's not.
No.
it's an important part of liberalism.
So
No, it's because they want the migrants. That's why the government's doing this. Because Japan has been allowing migrants in as cheap labor. They've been doing it for quite some time. You see migrants from like the Indian subcontinent. You see it from South Asia. You see it from the Middle East. And in order to make the cheap workers happy, if they want a mosque, they can have a mosque.
Look, Ian, liberalism is a closed system. It doesn't work if you have an authoritarian party that's infiltrated your system, right? Because the only way to get rid of an authoritarian party is with authoritarianism. You can't, authoritarians don't let you vote them out. And communists or socialists, when they take control, they're almost never voted out, right? They just consolidate power, change the rules, so that way they always win. And you hear the Democrats, the DSA in the United States, saying that they want to do those things. They want to abolish the Senate. They want to get rid of the presidency. They want to do things that would consolidate their power, that would make sure that it would be only people that are DSA members could win. And
they're upset, but because, by the way, they're obsessed with taking power.
Yes.
Obsessed. They think about it all day long. It's the only they don't think about. You were talking about food distribution systems and all this. They don't think about that. They think, how can I control everything?
Yeah.
They wake up every day and they say, how can I control everything? This is why, for example, I bring this up at as a small point, but to make a point. You can go to any library in the United States of America, and I'll guarantee you what is on the very front table when you walk into that library. And you guys all know what I'm going to say. You're going to see like anti-racist baby. You're going to see some BLM stuff. You're going to see some feminist stuff. You're going to see some trans stuff. And it's on every library. Why? Why is that in every library? Because you look at the library and you think, that's a place to get books. The communist in your town looks at the library and says, that's a place that I can take over and exert power.
And communists are completely fine with destroying the thing if they can't control it, right? Like they're completely
They
fine.
love destroying the thing.
Yeah.
Look at Los Angeles.
I mean, that's what ends up happening in the long run. But generally, they want to control something. And if they can't achieve control of it, they'll do everything they can to destroy it.
Yes.
You look at what they did to like the Boy Scouts with the whole you have to let everyone in, you have to let girls in. Boy Scouts are basically done now. They do that with every institution, and part of the reason they do that is because institutions are what make a culture. They're what hold a culture together. That's part of the reason why you see so many weird things going on in a lot of the Protestant churches, right? Like the trans stuff we're welcoming everybody. The LGBT stuff, they infiltrate. They wear it like a skin suit. It's not really the core of whatever the institution was is gone. They're wearing it like a skin suit, so they'll wear the whatever the church would wear. But all the important things about the church have been taken out.
Yeah, Hollywood is a great example of this too. When they were wokeifying, franchises, and they constantly Lord of the Rings, or whatever franchise. We could Star Wars, right? You could think of a million things. Why do they do that? They want to destroy it. They love that they've destroyed something that was like this beloved cultural institution.
When the Soviets took over the Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks, they destroyed the institution of the monarchy, the empire.
They did.
So that was like a negative.
And quite literally,
most people were like, "Screw the emperor."
No, that was bad.
Actually, if you want to get really technical, the Tsar abdicated. So Tsar Nicholas actually he tried to compromise with them, and he said, "Well, surely if I just abdicate, and I show you that I'm willing to work with you, I'm going to abdicate, and I won't be the Tsar anymore, and we'll have all this democracy stuff, and you'll be fine." Well, what did they do?
They shot his kids in the basement.
They took him and his children out to the woods. They stuck him in a basement. They put him against the wall, and they shot them until they were all dead. His children.
The whole family.
They couldn't risk someone any kind of lineage emerging later on claiming a right.
They kept them on house arrest for a while, and then somebody had a decision. They were like, you know what? It's just too risky. Take them out.
Yeah, and apparently they were like, "We're sorry, but we have to kill you because at some point in the future, your kids might try claiming."
It was also and as depicted in the famous book on humans, that during the Civil War, the liberation of the royal family became like a huge goal for the White Army, which was the Russian, sort of the remnant of the Russian army, the Russian Imperial Army. So they kept trying to liberate them. That's why they brought them so far out into Yekaterinburg, out in towards Siberia, basically. And so that no one will ever be able to get them out here. But then there was still, a worry that, that spies from the White Army might be able to find them. And Pyotr Wrangel was the leader of that White Army. And so that's what kind of led, among other things.
What should they have done?
Led to the killing. What should
the Tsar Nicholas have done when the Bolsheviks began to?
He should have arrested them all.
And then done what with
We
them?
should have arrested them all. If any of them had committed specific crimes like murder, they should have been clearly should have been hung. If they were people who were fomenting a civil war like that, were committing treason, then obviously, yeah, This is why I've said, and people asked me about this at the Tyler Robinson hearing. They said, believe you should get the death penalty. I said assassins should always receive the death penalty in any system. Because an assassin, or in this case, we're talking about treason, you are someone who is waging war against the system itself. You're waging war against your own nation, and you are trying to destroy your own nation. And in doing so, you are waging war against the very, when I use the Hobbesian form of, state of war here, where you are waging war against the very underpinnings of that nation. And as such, to Phil's point, you can't have that element in your society. So you either have to lock it up, you have to stamp it out, you have to smash the institutions, and in the extreme situations, that's where capital punishment would be applicable.
You might call them agents of chaos. It used to be that there was no good and evil. Way back in human perception, it was only order and chaos. And then once we established order, we were able to figure out, hey, there's another way of being. There's good and evil that can exist within order. But when there's no order, bro, people eat each other and kill everything.
Well, this is the code of Hammurabi.
It's very fascinating.
Which we also talk about in the book.
During Egypt's revolution, Mubarak refused, and I believe they ultimately arrested him, right? And Morsi as well.
Well, yeah, this was the Muslim Brotherhood uprising.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I was like, why won't these North African leaders just abdicate? Just say, if the people want this democracy, then we will step back, keep one hand in the steering wheel. The funny thing is, that's what Tsar Nicholas tried doing.
Right.
He said, okay, I understand, I'll abdicate. Then they massacred him and his family.
And there's actually a really sad part to that as well, because so people remember the royal families of Europe at that time were very well interconnected. This did immediately post World War I. And so his first cousin was actually the King of England, was King George. And he wrote to his cousin and said, please offer asylum to me and my family. And we don't know what's going to happen. The instability is getting to it's becoming too much. We need safe passage. Please give us a letter of safe passage to England. And he wouldn't do it.
The reason I brought up the Soviet Union is because, like you were saying, one of the things about communists is that they'll just try to destroy whatever the establishment is of that time to create. You're not saying this. I'm saying this to create chaos in order to then use that chaos to propel their movement.
Yeah, no, that's what we say.
So you might argue that the Russian royal family was a shitty establishment, and it was like you could see why. Then you might argue the Chinese.
Why do you say
it was imperial monarchy?
Okay, so you're
Nicholas
just saying that
he was a piss poor leader. He tried to lead the troops.
But Ian, what you're saying though is exactly what I was pointing out. Is that I'm not saying the grievances weren't genuine. Right.
Yes. So
people were upset about I said they were upset about the foreign war. They were upset about the price of food. They were upset about their housing costs, the price of housing, and so in response, they murdered the ruler and his whole family.
So the Chinese then, 40 years later, we're looking at 1946. Whenever the Chinese after World War II,
49.
It's basically like the
Well, it started in the 20s.
China's like an American puppet at this point, or like a liberal puppet with the Republic of China. There's an uprising in China. That we have the Chinese Revolution with Mao. They argue that establishment is imperial Western establishment. They're trying to take us over, probably is what their argument was. I don't know. But now with the modern day,
yes, absolutely.
The modern day communist, what's their argument? Corporatocracy's ineffective. We need a state run. Like what? How can they pin this establishment as bad as those were?
Well,
I don't think it matter how bad it is.
They talk about the foreign war. They talk about the cost of living, and they talk about the cost of housing.
It's just economy.
It's like life today in the United States is just orders of magnitude better than for even the poorest than it was for the poorest Russians before the Russian Revolution. Like just the amount of abundance that we have here in the United States, even now for people that are struggling, right? They have cell phones. Nobody's actually going hungry. Yes, it's harder to make ends meet now than it was 10 years ago, but when you compare the standard of living that the poorest Americans have compared to peasant farmers before the Russian Revolution, like it's not even worth mentioning.
True. However,
the point that I'm making is it doesn't matter about people's actual material conditions, which is one of the things that communists love to talk about. Like Marx always talked about the material conditions. The material conditions are actually irrelevant. What these things are motivated by, what these movements are motivated by, is resentment and hate for, first of all, people that have more than they do. Not that they don't have enough. It's how much more people have than them, and a hatred of reality. You hear these people talk all the time. I didn't ask to be born. I shouldn't have to work to survive. Blah, 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 blah. That is contrary to reality. Like every single organism on Earth has to struggle to survive. And it is easier for human beings, particularly in the United States, to survive than for any other organism in all of Earth's history. So the argument that, we're just trying to get what we need to survive, that's a lie. It's about wanting the people that are at the top, the people that are actually running. It's about wanting power. And what they're doing is they're telling the people below them, basically the proletariat, they're telling them, I have the solution for what ails you. But none of it's true. It doesn't reflect reality.
And what it actually does is it takes what Catholics would refer to as one of the 7 deadly sins, the sin of envy.
Yep.
And it turns envy into a political system and a moral justification for envy. And in fact, the second person ever, or I should say, the first person ever born, right? The first person ever born on the planet was Cain, right? Cain and Abel. And yet Cain was envious of Abel. And in fact, he was so envious because Abel had favor that he murdered his own brother. So he was the first person who was ever born on the planet. Now, also as a Catholic, I would point out that he was the first person born with original sin after the fall of the garden, but he murdered his brother out of envy. And in fact, one of the original titles that I had for the book was Children of Cain.
The envy's like it comes from the lack of appreciation for what you have, essentially, and then
and the hyper obsession with that which another has.
Yeah, you start to want other things because you're not happy with what you've got. Whereas
not just want, but also resentment of that person to the point where you would be willing to kill them to try to take what they have, or at least prevent them from having.
Regarding, I mean, I'm all about steel manning the opposition here. Regarding what you're saying, if the argument against the communists are saying we need to, it's a foreign war, is the cost of living, the cost of food, like, how are they wrong?
But and so this is actually kind of what I wanted to say as well, is that in order to defeat a socialist revolution, you can't deny that the reality is what it is. So you can't. We just did the burrito test, right? And the burrito, like, I'm going to tell you that's too much. It's too much. It feels like it's too much.
Yeah, I'm just reading about the execution. And then
Tsar Nicholas.
Yeah, when they said to him, "You are to be executed," the Soviet workers have demanded it. He went, "What? What are you saying? Like, what an idiot!"
Yeah, he was cheap, dude. He went out to try to lead the soldiers because they were losing the front, and he was a terrible military commander.
And
that's why
He's so oblivious and so stupid.
Well, actually, interesting enough, that's you familiar with Rasputin, right? We all know about Rasputin.
He hired Rasputin,
Lover of the Russian queen.
Allegedly, but she was also known to be devoutly Christian. So, lover of many, but the fact that whether was he not actually with the queen, we'll see. Like, that was one of the rumors spread against him. But actually, Rasputin was anti-war. And he said, we can't do this war. We have to be against this. This is going to destroy the empire. This is going to destroy everything you have. But of course, Tsar Nicholas was saying, well, what about the honor of Russia? Right. And this is, of course, like Archduke Franz Ferdinand has been assassinated by a Serbian nationalist. And so the Habsburgs and Austria-Hungary are declaring war on Serbia. And Serbia, of course, was allied with Russia. So Russia's like, well, we're not going to defend our ally. We're not going to go to war, et cetera. And so Rasputin is arguing against this. The Tsarina was also arguing against this. And so it was actually conservative army officers in the Russian military who murdered Rasputin. Oh, really? Because he was anti-war.
They stabbed him like 50 times. He wouldn't die. And threw him trying to kill him.
And threw him in the river. And so... Okay. And so there's this whole interesting so everyone knows about Rasputin, but they don't actually know why he was killed, right? It's because he was anti-war. And they kept warning the Tsar. He kept warning the Tsar. And, I'm not going to comment on his proclivities, but, you can't say he was wrong about what would happen. And that's exactly what happened. And so you look at these things and, I look at the popularity of the Iran war, which is obviously extremely unpopular. You look at the cost of living, which is now the #1 issue in the United States in this election. And you look at the fact that we live in a K-shaped economy. You guys know K-shaped economy?
No.
That phrase? So the idea of K-shaped economy, it took me a second to understand it because it's like not necessarily intuitive.
Is that like communist China?
Well, it's like China today. Right. But it's this idea that from a certain point in time when you're looking at a graph, and I'll do it this way for the camera, that one line goes up while another line goes down. So it creates a K. And the phrase used for this is K-shaped economy.
Like we're just looking at a graph that looks
And so, since 2008, the argument is that we have had a K-shaped economy since the financial crisis, that if you're under the median income level, that you've never really recovered to beyond or to before 2008 levels. The quantitative easing, though, has been amazing. So the Fed printing money has been phenomenal for the Kevin O'Learys of the world and the people who are sort of the Wall Street class. And for everybody else, that you've just been kind of screwed and you've been living in a silent recession type conditions since 2008. And the situation isn't getting better. And President Trump, obviously, has been fighting to make it better, but there's a lot of people who think that the relief that was promised in 2004, the relief from the Biden regime, the relief from COVID and everything that was enacted during then has not yet come. And that is producing a lot of anger, and that is why people are turning towards the socialist candidates. Yep. Because they're saying, hey, we tried this guy, and we feel like it didn't work, and now we're going to go to the other extreme. Not because they're... And by the way, not because they're necessarily pro-socialism, because they're anti-establishment.
That's why they're... You mean the communists in general?
No, I'm talking about voters right now.
Oh yeah, they're pissed off at whatever's been happening with the
right, and so they're not. So if I sit there and talk about how crazy Abdul El Sayed is, and point out that he obviously hates white people. He's for the abolishment of ICE. He's for defunding the police. He wants to flood this country with infinity migrants from the Middle East. Just he looks at Spain and says that's a blueprint, right? He gets good ideas. And this is a guy who clearly wants that, but he doesn't use that in his rhetoric. When he gets up and speaks, he talks about what? Peace, land, bread.
Okay, the only solution I can see is reducing cost, is because I don't think we can create enough outgoing product to make our economy better. But if we can reduce the cost of fuel and we start using hydrogen, the problem is
raise wages.
But
if we go off,
we don't have the infrastructure.
If we go off, exactly. First, we don't have the infrastructure, and if we go off petroleum, we no longer control the world by the nuts.
No.
Like the military-industrial complex runs the world on oil.
You're talking about a decades-long plan. Like your fix,
but even that, I can't square the circle, because if we go off petroleum, we lose the global hegemony. It seems to be
okay. So we don't need to go off petroleum totally, but the idea of going to hydrogen, we do not have any infrastructure.
Well, the methane, we can run through the methane channels to the gas stations.
That's still a decade or more, at least a decade or more work. By then, the socialists will have won. We need a much faster solution than changing all of our infrastructure for power. To be honest with you, it's more reasonable to say, well, we're going to switch over to solar and electric cars, because at the very least we have the foundation of an infrastructure with all the Tesla stuff.
So I wanted to throw something to Tim actually on this, because this isn't the first time. So typically this happens when you have periods of great income inequality. And the first time this happened in the United States was the Industrial Revolution. Now it's happening again in sort of like the tech revolution, if you want to call it that. And in response to the Industrial Revolution, and we talk about a guy in Dayton, Ohio, who ran the National Cash Register Company, but he's really famous for this. And he was one of those guys who said, hey, his name was John Patterson, and he said, what if we just made the workplace better for the workers, or maybe what if we provided housing for our workers, or did something like create the 5-day work week and the 40-hour work week, and a lot of that was going on at the safer machinery, cleaner conditions, higher wages, better hours for the workforce. A lot of that happened at the same time as the original rise of the labor unions. And we kind of point out that it was those forces in, kind of like immediate post-turn of the century. That's why the United States didn't have a socialist revolution back then the way so many other countries did.
So if we can change our work week so it's 20-hour work weeks and people get paid twice as much for a 20-hour work week, that might be a potential.
I wonder if...
you get what I'm saying?
People have been pointing out that woke emerged during Occupy Wall Street, that it was an attempt by the elites to distract the masses. Instead of complaining about the financial system that was bailing out the elites and controlling everything, make them fight about race instead. And then the funny thing is, woke is largely broke at this point, but no one now remembers Occupy or the bailouts or the financial crisis. They're not really thinking about it. And so now the cultural issue is largely centered around, Israel. So it's like there's a new boogeyman. No one is complaining about the bailouts anymore. That's 20 years ago. That whole movement crashed because of the woke takeover. And I think it's fascinating because I was, being there at Occupy and watching the narrative change from they bailed out corporations and screwed over the working class, and then within 2 weeks it was white people are bad. It makes sense.
It's crazy, dude. Because it's going up against the banking cartel is tough because it's like in the brain of our system. The Federal Reserve, it's entrenched.
Well, I think even you are a little bit too, you're being a little bit too myopic. You complain about the banking cartel is still another one of their make them focus on something that's not the bigger problem. The use of banks as a tool for control is just a tool. So they're dangling the keys over there and you're pointing at it. Then they dangle the keys over there and everyone else points at that when the person is standing right in front of you.
What do you think it is? Is it usury? Is that the real problem?
No.
Is it a specific company? Is it a way of doing business?
It's confidence. Again, like when you come out and you're like the banking cartels, that's as useful as saying white men.
Oh, okay. I would say the Bank for International Settlements. Then
the liberal economic order.
It's run through
the mechanism of elites that manipulates various levers of power to maintain control from media to finance to military or otherwise.
Yeah.
And anytime you focus on that machine, they'll dangle keys in a different direction and make you go run somewhere else.
So what's interesting is I just turned the page and I said, and I was like, wow, this is crazy because we wrote this 2 years ago, and we said, to be clear, this is a population that could easily be wielded and mobilized by a BLM Chavez type figure. Trust me, you do not want to wait for that figure to emerge.
Nope.
And that's the DSA right now, isn't
Yep.
it? That's exactly what.
But they don't have their Stalin, you know?
Yeah, I don't say, but they're all kind of like vying to be that one. I would agree that one individual hasn't come up yet, but
Hassan could.
Mandami wants it, Hassan wants it.
I guarantee
Syed
you,
wants it.
Hassan Piker is the kind of guy who will walk up to a person and slit their throat.
Well, and what's crazy about that is that he is so vocal about his support for left-wing violence,
Right.
and yet you don't hear anyone or any social media. And by the way, I don't think he should be banned. But when anyone on the right says anything that quote unquote could be construed as violence, immediately banned. Yet he'll go out there and support the murder of conservatives. He'll say that hurt people when like churches and temples and synagogues are bombed. He'll, kind of like play footsie with all of this violent stuff out there. He'll make excuses for Maggioni and say that tell the New York Times that, that Brian Thompson was committing social murder with as a healthcare CEO.
It's disgusting.
And nobody seems to bat an eye. He literally supports violence, death, and murder.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes made the point that the left will do all of the cover for their extremists that they possibly can, and the right is so quick to just say, look, we don't agree with this, and to condemn the people that say extreme things.
But that's why I brought up Tsar Nicholas. There's several accounts of his death, but one is they brought him to the base saying it's for your own safety. And then Tsar Nicholas says, "Can we have some chairs?" And then one of the guys walks up and says, "The Soviet workers want you executed, so you're going to die now." And he went, "What? Yeah. What are you saying? Like, are you really that stupid? You didn't realize they were preparing to kill you?
Never
and
let
you
him-
are shocked that they're going to kill you now?"
Never let them take you to the second location.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I think,
make them do whatever they're going to do right where you are, because the second location, and this is something you can use in life too. Someone jumps in your car and they got a gun and they're like, go somewhere, blah, blah, blah. Crash that car. Don't ever let them take you to the second location, because they're gonna do something worse there, and you're not getting out of it. Never go to the second location.
If I remember correctly, and I'm pulling the book up to this. I don't know if we got into it, but I may have read it separately somewhere else. But I think they had said something of that they were going to go down for photographs.
Yeah.
That they were
That's true.
that they were going to go down, and so
They said they wanted to get they said so what I read was they were bringing
Right.
him down there because they said that it was getting dangerous and there may be shots in the house, and they said that we need to get photographs for proof of life.
Right. And so Yakov Yurovsky, he was the one who was in charge of that. Now, he was from a Jewish family, and one of his points of his grievance against the monarchy was the pogroms, was the Pale of Settlement, and so he thought, I'm getting back for my people.
Yep.
Against the ethnic.
They argued over
Russians.
who got to kill who.
Right. And it's
And it also said that when they were shooting the children were wearing fine jewelry, which was actually protecting their bodies from the stabbings and the shootings.
Yep. They stitched it into their clothing because
Yeah.
they knew they couldn't hide it any other way.
Right.
And it
Yep.
was like body armor.
And so it was like body armor. So some of the rounds weren't penetrating, and so they ordered them bayonets to
Yeah.
be used on the children.
I think it's
and then eventually, and just to finish the line, then even when that wasn't working, they eventually just shot the kids in the head.
Yep.
it's like I complain about monarchy a lot. This is one of the reasons why, because if you get a failed monarch, fresh revolution. Also, if you take out the monarch, total chaos. Just it's so important that they're good.
Revolutions-
like our system
And
sucks.
revolutions are-
and France was just as bad.
Yeah,
By the way.
the French Revolution was look. Our revolution here in the United States, it was barely a revolution. It was more like a civil war, because the colonists thought of themselves as Englishmen in the first place. But to my point, like, revolutions don't end up with a better system. Historically, that never happens. The United States is an anomaly in that, right? The United States.
Well, but because it wasn't a revolution or a civil war. It was a war for independence.
Yeah.
Meaning there was an existing government in place that the people supported, and they were severing the foreign ties.
And they were adamant that what they were trying to do was restore their rights as Englishmen, as free Englishmen, because the English, like the king, was not he wasn't the way that you imagine before the revolution. There were certain rights that people in the UK, in England, had.
Well, they did have. To be fair, they did have a civil war to get a lot of that too in England.
Yeah. I mean, well,
1600s.
like I've said before, like
they executed that king.
Yeah, but I've said before, like the Declaration or the Constitution that we have is really the fulfillment of the promises started with the Magna Carta, right? It was first the Lords had the Magna Carta had a bunch of demands of the king, and they said we have these rights as lords because the king was treating the lords badly, and then that kind of started the idea that men are actually all equal, and the completion of that idea was the Constitution in the United States.
Yeah,
and Ian, just to kind of go back on that though, is we're talking about something that happened in 1917, but what do you think would happen if these types had and we see there was a guy who was arrested outside of Trump's golf course yesterday, where he was armed and he was filming, and the president, when he likes to travel, he brings his children, his grandchildren. So don't think for a second that there aren't people like that around right now who are targeting clearly the president's family. There's no question. Every single person whose last name is Trump, like very truly, your life is in danger just because of your last name. They would do the exact same thing to them. And the same, of course, goes to a lesser extent for anyone else who's a public conservative. It's just a reality.
It's a part of why I'm like, speak a lot about don't become like a sycophant, don't become an ideologue for Trump, because it's about a movement of people trying to break away from the liberal economic order, create an American idealism or whatever.
That's the line the communists say.
But if you get obsessed with Trump, when he's gone, that vacuum is a ripe revolutionary battleground. So you got to be careful that you don't become so obsessed with the leader.
The revolution.
You mean with hating the leader?
Love or hate, obsession in general, because when he's gone, we're going to need a new leader.
Yeah, but the revolutionary energy in the United States does not lie in the right today. It definitely lies with the left.
Well, the left is the one that is willing to and has used extreme amounts of violence and continues to do so. And unfortunately, their level of violence is continuing to escalate and continuing to get worse. So you are going to see more assassinations. You are going to see more killing attempts. You're going to see more. I think they've moved beyond bombings at this point.
And the more political victories they have, the more cover they get.
Right.
So as DSA members win seats in the House or maybe a seat in the Senate or local elections,
New York mayor's race,
New York mayors, then those people that commit violence will get cover from people in positions of power. And that will cause more violence. This is the problem that we have when we talk about, DAs that don't want to prosecute. Right. The reason that violence was increasing under them, and the reason that so many politically motivated or so much politically motivated violence went unpunished on the left, is because there were DAs that wouldn't actually punish these people. You've got the National Lawyers Guild, which is basically a slew of lawyers that was the legal arm of the DSA, essentially, right? And so
I think Rubio actually said that they have some ties to Cuba as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of international networking that goes along with it, which is part of the reason.
And by the way, to your point, that's one of the same reasons that a lot of the violence that happened in the anti-ICE violence and variety of other violence that happened in D.C. There are grand juries who are refusing to place charges. There's jury nullification going on. There are people who are unwilling to file charges against anyone who attacks ICE officers in certain districts.
Yeah. So
what do you do with that?
But my point, like as they win electoral victories, they're going to be more violent because they have political cover.
And historically, what happened is some strong man would get in power and root them out, which means basically grab people and start slaughtering the opposition.
Who is the them that you're talking about?
Franco?
A guy will get in and be like, all the people that adhere to my political enemies must be tarnished, and they'll go in, they'll find them, they'll grab them. And
Ian, I have a question for you. Do you think that if the communists win, they'll spare you?
I mean,
You're on this show. No.
They'll say anyone associated with Timcast
No, yeah.
it's not an option for me.
Is it-
So
is
the issue is this.
counter-revolutionary.
Stand back and look at two factions and remove ideology and ask yourself, who would you prefer to root out the other? Would you prefer that Trump stops the communists from taking power, or would you prefer that the communists stop MAGA from taking power?
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm asking you.
If it was one or the other.
Yeah.
I like things non-communistic myself. Well, I'll keep the status
So
quo.
the issue is
failing
this.
as it is, I'll keep it.
This is the nature of power. Two incompatible worldviews. Trump, MAGA, Vance, whoever, they're either going to, through propaganda, finance manipulation, which I think soft power is not going to work, or through physical, which could be law enforcement or otherwise, stop these people, or they will be stopped by these people. If the communists win, yeah, you're on the list for sure. Most regular Americans are. This is what the Bolsheviks did. This is what communists do. In Portland, during one of the riots, they went to a guy's house because he had an American flag, and they knocked on his door and threatened to burn his house down unless he took it down.
Where?
In Portland. This guy wasn't a protester or anything.
I remember this video.
It was a live stream. There was a house with a flag, and they go up to the house, and we only have the reportedly because you can see them like yelling, but they told the guy, take the flag down or we're going to burn your house down. That's what happens when they win. When Trump is president, you can fly a pride flag, no one stops you. So the question is, does Trump need to go? Look, I think Stephen Miller gets it, but I wonder why it doesn't get done.
What?
Like they need to arrest these terrorists.
Like top working communist socialist.
Look, when Hassan Piker went on his show and told people to go kill people, he should have got arrested for that. That is not free speech. This clip goes massively viral all the time. When he says that people should commit violence in a video game, he should be arrested for that. They won't do anything about it. So it's going to be like Tsar Nicholas all over again as he sits in his chair and goes, wait, they're doing what to me?
If Tsar Nicholas had Palantir, though, it'd be. I think they got this on crackdown.
I mean,
Are you joking?
If they did, these
Czar-
things wouldn't be
The Tsar
happening.
had all of that.
The Tsar had
his house. He didn't know what was going on.
No,
the Tsar
no.
had secret police.
Yeah, but he sat in
He
his
had
hotel
secret
in
police.
his house.
He had, when he abdicated, he had all of these military assets around him saying, trust us, we got your back.
And you're not
They didn't
really
just all one day disappear and cease to exist.
like you're not listening. You're not listening.
As
they win political power, they're going to give cover
Let me-
to the people
let me
that
try to
actually
explain it.
commit violence.
Let me try to explain it a different way. It comes down to and this is what I said to Charlie, is that it comes down to a question of will, right? It's not a question of resources. It's not a question because they will find resources. It's not a question and the government has resources. The U.S. government, the Russian government had resources. It's a question of will. It's literally a question of whose will overcome the other, and will one person, will, like capital W, will that will to power actually occur on one side or the other?
Ian.
And if one side abdicates the will to power, they're going to lose.
The Tsar thought abdicating helped him maintain control. And as he did, he had his chief of staff and his advisors telling him, this is the way we'll do it. He thought that this was keeping order. And then, and again, literally, I was just reading this. He wanted to put his son in, but his son was sick. So then he was like, we'll do my brother instead. As the Bolsheviks started to gain power in the government, these institutions turned on him. So Palantir,
By the way,
when faced with an army of Bolsheviks with guns,
Then they just
they're
take
gonna
over Palantir.
Exactly. They just take it and use it against you.
Which, by the way, this is the exact same way that the French Revolution played out. And King Louis said, well, we'll just let them set up their people's communes, and we'll work with them, and everything will be fine, and they can set up their people's courts.
And they chopped literally everyone.
40,000 people were killed in the Red
And
Terror.
they're like, wait, what do you mean I'm guilty in the people's court? I'm working with you. You can't
they call appeasement. Neville Chamberlain was also guilty of it. It's the reason why World War II happened, because the Germans were not equipped to fight two fronts. And if the French had invaded 6 weeks before they got attacked, they would have stomped the Germans. But Neville Chamberlain went over there and said, we're just going to give you a little piece of land, Hitler, because you seem like a good enough guy. We trust you. We don't want conflict. We'll appease you.
That's how it goes. But ultimately, they did lose. But the issue is, if the right is unwilling to enforce its own laws against terrorism, terrorism will win.
Yep.
I get nervous about that term terrorism. I'm with you. I'm
using
terrorism.
it
I agree with you, but
I'm
the
using it
word
literally.
gets used.
Like when Hassan Piker went on his show and said, "Let the streets run red with their capitalist blood," go, and literally instructed people to commit violence. It's like, yeah, you need to, at bare minimum, ban that. I mean, it's not free speech to tell people to go kill people, right?
If it's not an imminent threat, it is legal.
When he said, "Go kill the capitalists," that's an imminent threat.
If he gives a time and a place, it becomes
No. You're
legally, I think that's the truth, which is why he didn't get arrested.
Creating a clear and imminent threat when he tells his audience to go kill people. That's it.
Well,
That's
it's
enough.
actually a question for the jury.
Oh yeah, the jury that's going to be in D.C. It's going to say it's fine.
He charged everybody that said to go commit a crime.
What?
If you charged everybody that said online to go commit a crime,
it's a question. It's a question for the State Department when they revoke his citizenship and deport him back to
Denaturalize
Turkey.
and deport.
I thought he was.
He was born in New. He was born in New
Jersey.
He was born in New Jersey, but we should.
But his parents
still,
weren't citizens.
we should still strip him of his
No.
citizenship.
His parents weren't citizens, right?
No, they weren't.
Okay, if his parents weren't citizens, then we can challenge that citizenship.
I've been thinking about the Hassan.
Strip his
Well,
citizenship,
Supreme Court
send
would
him
be-
back to
They'd
Turkey.
have to run that by the Supreme
I
Court.
mean, look,
After that
Amy
one.
Coney Barrett is weak.
100%.
Kavanaugh's a little weak.
Wait,
Roberts
but
is
Amy,
weak.
what did Amy Coney Barrett say? And it's very similar to what the discussion we're having right now. Because when she testified recently, when she had that hearing, she was talking about how she was terrified that after the Dobbs decision, that she was forced to wear a bulletproof vest.
Yep.
So we have Supreme
Worse than that,
Court.
her son opened the door to armed police screaming at him because they got swatted.
Oh, and the swatting,
only
right,
a month before the citizenship ruling.
So think about this. We've got a situation now where our own Supreme Court justices have to wear bulletproof vests where their families are terrified of violence being used against them. And yet the actions, right? For every action, there shall be an equal and opposite reaction. We need the opposite reaction to take place, or else, to your point, the order will be overturned and we will devolve into chaos.
Well, I got bad news for you, Jack. If the left is willing to lie, right? Syed says he's not a socialist, right? But he's the DSA.
Did he actually say that?
Numerous times.
Good for him.
And
What a
the DSA
nice
is
guy.
campaigning on his behalf while not endorsing him because we know that they lie.
Oh,
These people are willing to use physical violence that they have numerous times. They're willing to lie, as we've seen over and over again, and the right is not. If you want to win a conflict, you have to be willing to win a conflict. And if you're going to play the game where you say, let's appease them, right? Do you want to be Neville Chamberlain or Winston Churchill? Do you want to be Abraham Lincoln or do you want to be Buchanan or Lincoln?
I don't know the difference.
That's why I said if Trump doesn't deal with this, he will go down in history as our second Buchanan.
Hey, I'm all about lying, dude.
Do you want to beat the czar?
No, that guy is a vestige of monarch. He's the example of a flawed monarch.
Yep.
But
the epic example.
I'm not even arguing that. But the point is he had the ability to save his country at one point. He really did. He could have unleashed his generals. He could have said, "This is a building full of terrorists. Go arrest all of them." Could have done it.
I mean, he could have done a lot of other things. He could have conscripted them.
Send them to the front lines.
Yeah. So depending on
Well, actually, the communists were very effective at infiltrating the military early on.
what I'm saying is when you have a building full of terrorists, you don't arrest them. They were conscripted. What do you mean? They weren't criminally charged with anything. They were conscripted to join the war effort like anybody else. Yeah, they're all dead now.
They're working the mines. Oh,
they went to the front line.
Working.
And then you send them off on a certain mission.
The point is this: as we have seen time and time again throughout history, what did Buchanan do? Appeasement. And then what happened?
The South.
He tried to, and Lincoln came in and said, "We're not going to tolerate this." If for all the complaints people have about Lincoln and like Sherman's March to the Sea, that is called the raw exercise of power, and it wins. If Lincoln did not arrest the Maryland legislature, tyrannical. Suspend habeas corpus, tyrannical. Conscripting people, wow, very tyrannical. Splitting, the Union splits West Virginia in half. They eliminate the South from Congress and then vote with only those who sided with Lincoln to retroactively ratify his suspension of habeas corpus. And he won. In America, when you poll Americans, he is the most popular president in American history.
And he would have been like the end of America if he failed. That's the craziest.
Because he
thing.
won. And so,
But the point is that he wasn't going to fail because he was willing to break the law.
So you know how
So Tim, would you almost obviously I've been going people have been very upset that I tell the story of Franco in the book as well, and we became the first people to really start telling his response to the people trying to tear Spain apart in the
What an amazing story.
in the 1930s, and people start losing their minds, and it almost sounds like you would almost equate Lincoln and Franco?
Yeah. So, but what I would say, what's interesting about Franco is they actually tried appeasement. So before the Spanish Civil War, the more right-leaning side, the anti-communists, were like, okay, like they won the election, let's see how things go. Then it started getting really bad, as communists do. And then Franco, I think he was stationed in Morocco, he's like, guys, we cannot allow them to keep doing this, or we know what's going to happen. So then he got a group of his buddies together, sailed into Spain, and then some other military guys got word that they were planning a coup, kicking off the Spanish Civil War. And he won.
There's also an interesting body of work out there as to whether or not that was actually a fair election.
Right.
That the communists may have actually stolen that election to begin with, which was a huge contention during.
But even when they did, the reaction from the right was like, well, okay, we're going to see what happens. But then Franco was watching, and he was like, guys, I see where this is going, and I'm not going to let it.
And what did they start doing? They immediately started. They stole all the gold from the treasury of Spain and shipped it all back to Moscow because they're just criminals and thieves, which nobody tells you. They allowed the Soviet Union to come in and start taking over all the institutions of the Spanish government. And then they released their Red Brigades, pretty similar like Antifa or you might see today, and they went through the countryside and they went to churches. And if you were a priest, you were shot and killed or just stabbed on the altar. And if you were a nun, you were either marched out and mass killed outside, or you would be raped inside on the altar, then mass killed outside, and your body would be pressed up against the wall in the town square until it turned into a decaying skeleton.
Didn't they exhume corpses as well?
They sure did.
Why?
To desecration.
To desecrate them more.
Mock, humiliate, demoralize.
Yep.
We've got these contingencies. If there's a nuclear war, the American military machine will fire off nukes to hit every city in Russia, every city in China. None of them will be left standing on the surface.
Remember when we tried to buy that Lenin statue to desecrate it?
But I wonder if we have contingencies in place if a socialist revolution were to start to transpire.
I went out
in the
there
United
and I
States.
tried to get them to take. They said they were going to take it down, and they didn't.
You know what I mean, though? That we have some sort of fail-safe in place. If we have one for nuclear war, that we might have one for a socialist or communist attempted revolution in the States.
No,
I couldn't agree more. We could call it the Franco option.
No, to be honest with you, I think take this.
I don't mean literally. I mean an option.
But take this with a grain of salt if you want. But I think that invoking Franco is a bad idea.
It's the best idea we've ever had.
When you're articulating your argument, don't invoke Franco, invoke Lincoln. Because Lincoln was willing to break the law to do the things that were necessary to save the country, and Americans love Lincoln. Invoking Franco gives them the scaries. He was a fascist, blah blah blah. It gives them the scaries. If you invoke Lincoln, everybody loves Lincoln. We need a president that's willing to do what Lincoln did to save the country. We have a clear and present danger in this country. There are communists here that are winning elections. We need someone like Abraham Lincoln who's willing to do what's necessary to protect the United States from forces that want to tear it apart. They want to get rid of the presidency. They want to get rid of the Senate. They want to get rid of the Electoral College. We need a president that will be like Lincoln and need to do what's necessary to save the Union, because people are going to get scared of foreign fascists. But if you talk about Lincoln, everybody loves Lincoln.
I don't think so, though, because I've been doing this for 2 years, and people broadly support talking about this. And I agree. There are some people who are terrified of invoking someone who defeated communism and from taking over his country. And by the way, like I've said on this program that I am not calling for a Franco in the United States, but what I'm doing is pointing out that this was a time where there was abject evil going on and it was defeated.
I
gotta
understand what you're
grab
saying,
some,
but the normies that are outside of our circles, they would be afraid of Franco. Lincoln, they're not
I don't
afraid
think so.
We got to grab Rumble Rants and Super Chats, so get
Also,
them
Lincoln
in,
was a
smash the
fighting
like
communist.
button, share the show. The uncensored portion is coming up in a few minutes, but let's see what y'all got to say. Josh says, what's your 3 favorite Naruto characters, and what life lesson can be learned from the second best anime, Naruto? What's the first best? You're talking about One Piece? Naruto was the best. Shippuden, the first 80%, and then it just got wacky. Shikamaru, one of my favorite characters, but no one character I think really stands out. Maybe Sarutobi is cool.
My friend Henry Dittman does the voice of Kabuto.
Tsurokage.
Sorry,
Of
what? Kabuto Yakushi. Yeah, that he gets to do the voice.
Okay, character.
In the English one or the
Yeah, he does the English. I don't know. He does the English voice for that guy.
That's cool.
I never.
Jiraiya.
Yeah, Henry's amazing.
One of my favorite
Hank
characters as
Dittman,
well.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a good actor.
Jiraiya. And I don't know.
I like that dude Stone, the guy who like doesn't have any power.
Rock Lee.
Yeah, Rock.
Stone.
Rock. Yeah, that guy's
He actually does. He just can't use ninjutsu, so he's just taijutsu.
cool.
Yeah.
Is that like energy flow instead of
It's
kinetic force?
physical fighting. And so this question likely arises from when I mentioned opening the gate of death makes a red aura because your blood is evaporating out of your body as you die. Oh. And that is when you open your chakra gates, the limiters hold back how much your body can handle. It's the general idea is like when a mother gets crushed, or I'm sorry, when a baby gets crushed, the mother can lift the car.
Yeah.
So Guy, who uses taijutsu, trains Rock Lee, and he teaches him how to open the gates, rapidly increasing your power, but it causes massive damage to your body, which the more gates you open, it incapacitates you for a longer amount of time.
It's like you're sublimating the iron in your
Until-
blood, and it's coming out.
Actually,
of you. You're like,
I'm going to say this is a good point, Guy Sensei, because probably the best moment and one of the worst lines in the dub is when Guy fights Madara and opens the 8th gate, the gate of death, and is so powerful physically that he bends space-time as he punches Madara in the face. And that's all you needed. You didn't need Madara to say, I declare you the greatest taijutsu user of all time. That was dumb. But it was cool to see him go all out. And then he starts dying, and Naruto imbues him with some power to save
they
his life.
call that frame dragging when you hit someone so hard they bend space time. There's a lot of massive stellar bodies will create frame dragging effects, but I think technically you could do it with a punch if it was hard enough.
Indeed. All right. Mythos says, I would vote for the camel before I vote for Tucker Carlson.
Camels.
One way to put it. All right, let's see. Beltfed says, Tim, I love the show, long time listener. I actually knew the cop that died in Vegas. We served in the Marines together in weapons company. He was an outstanding guy. Sad to hear people reacted this way. I think it was because when they said his name, let me pull it up. Let's see. Because this was just yesterday, right?
This is the first I've heard of this.
Let's see. His name was Austin Abdelnabi. And when the guy gave him a mention, people started booing. And I think it's because some of them probably thought they were saying Abdul Al-Sayed. Because they didn't know. And he was like, no, we're not booing him. He was a cop who died in line of duty.
Is this, by the way, is this quote you have up from, I guess it's Daily Caller from Syed, is this real? That quote?
When they go low, we take them to the mud and choke them out.
Courage to stand up to the power brokers in our own party, let alone Trump and his goons. We don't back down. We don't back down. We don't back down. With all due respect, if they go low, we don't go high. We take them to the mud and choke them out.
He's doing what Trump does. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Complaining about negative. And I see this through my life, these waves of people just coming up, complain about how bad it is, and then they get a surge of crowd love, offering no solution. And then it goes away. People realize, well, they're not a solver. They're a problem creator. and then it comes back, and it never stops.
But I actually disagree. I think that a guy like that, with the amount of resentment that he has, the amount of hatred that he has for white people, for American systems, American institutions, he's there because he wants to say those violent things.
Yep.
He's there for increasing the amount of violence. He doesn't care about equality. He doesn't care about helping people. He wants to hurt people.
Yep.
So we got this from
and then I'd be very clear about that.
SXDX says, Tim, the tip situation at certain places because servers in some states can elect to have their tips paid to them in cash. The restaurant may not have that cash on hand. I've been in the situation. Yeah, I hear you, but I'm pretty sure if I tipped $1,000 to a server, they can say, this one I'm okay with. Just pay me when you can. I want the $1,000. It's insane that they'd be like, yeah, I would rather lose the $800 and take a $200 tip instead. It's just insane. But as for why DoorDash blocks high tips, I have no idea. Uber does the same. So from here to DC with an Uber, it's like $200, hour and a half drive. And so when I come from the airport, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to get you on the way back too, because we're driving out to the Eastern Panhandle. They go, you got it. I got to give them cash. Because when I go in the app and I try and put it in, it says no, it won't let you. It says the maximum tip amount is much, much smaller.
I always loved getting cash tips when I was a waiter because you don't like,
Cash is king.
If they're digital, they automatically get declared. If they're cash, you have to declare
My
them.
friends, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. The uncensored portion is coming up. Jack, do you want to shout anything out?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. It's been a minute since you and I have been on together, and yeah, so we're doing the second edition of Unhumans. It's going to be Unhumans Socialist Revolution.
But we're going to be in the same studio soon.
So I hear.
Same studio.
We're good, guys. We're all going to be in the same studio. We're going to be the same place. We're going to be palling around. We're going to be mixing it up.
Hanging and broing down.
We're going to be
Broing down.
humaning.
We're going to be broing down.
Let's get human, dude. Let's do some human stuff.
I don't. That sounds weird.
That's
no.
the real antidote.
No, see, there.
Just be
It's
people
the
together, Jack.
the antidote to the Unhumans is Team Humanity. I'm on
with you.
Team
Gathering
Humanity.
berries and
Glad you're
hunting
here.
boars.
Sounds delicious.
Wanna gather
Identifying
berries and
plants.
hunt
Anyways.
boars.
I know, it sounds fun, right? We should go do that.
Tanya, where Tanya's from back home, they have a lot of wild boar.
I bet
zoo in the
there's got to be a
future?
business that allows that, where it's like, it's a basic like survival safari where you go out and they say we're going to go hunt a boar and then we're going to cook and eat it, field dress and everything, and then we're going to do gathering for berries and then we're going to make dinner.
Tanya's dad literally. I mean, you get.
Well, that's $1 million business.
You get a
right
permit
there.
for it, but yeah, that's literally what he does.
Yeah. Anyway, Ian.
Yo, rock and roll, baby. Happy to be here. Ian Crossland. Always a pleasure, Jack. Phil Lamonti.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Phil That Remains. You can check out the band's music at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime. Carter.
Gee, heavy conversation about communism and socialism. I used to, it's really tough to understand what exactly motivates people to want power so badly, but it's pretty easy to understand why it fails every time. One of the clearest ways that I've read about it is in Frank Decatter's book in it's called Mao's Great Famine. Basically just shows you how you have to force people to do socialism by force, and that means, hurting them. And then it keeps going. But anyway, Jack, does your book have an audiobook? I'm curious.
It does. So we have an audiobook where we have a couple audiobooks actually. So we have an audiobook that was wasn't read by me originally, and something that I'd wanted to change, and we're working on that, more on that to come. And so we hired an actor to do the original ones. We get out in time. We also have a deal through our publisher with 11 Labs on 11. So if you go to 11 Reader, I think it's 11reader.com. You can get access Unhumans, and you can choose any voice you want to listen to it. And we also, which includes a spate of celebrities. So there's actually a version of Unhumans you can get where John Wayne is the narrator, and it's amazing. He's just like, communists are the worst people on the planet. They hate you and they hate your whole family.
Do you have to pick what voice when you?
We're gonna
order
go
it?
to the.
Yeah, you can change the voice as you're listening.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see y'all in 30 seconds.